Just going to, what's the date? The 6th or 7th? Hi, Jennifer. Stay 7th. So 7th of January 2026 now. Just going to wait for the numbers to hopefully build up a little bit. I'm a little bit early. I'm not going to actually start talking about subjects until I told the people on TikTok, which is another minute or two. Okay, so please tap the likes as much as you can. And try and share this as much as you can. Hi, Trish, I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to be talking about the evidence of the Dunblane massacre. I'm just going to let the numbers go up a little bit. There wasn't many at all on the TikTok. I tried doing a live on TikTok. It didn't get above sort of 35 people. So I'm hoping that we'll get some more people on here to listen to the evidence of the Dunblane massacre. So please like as much as you can and share this out. We're just going to give it a minute or so, and then I'll start going into the evidence. Now, last night I did a live stream in relation to the Las Vegas shootings. Overwhelming evidence to link it into this international government fraud. Not only that, but it actually linked back to individuals that I personally worked with. Now, I'm not saying they were involved in the shooting, but there was an overlap of companies, even though there's over 5 million registered companies tying in from the Las Vegas shooting to those that I worked with, who appear to be linking in with the blood of the children, in with the police, and in with the serious crimes against humanity. And we looked at some of the evidence surrounding one of my former colleagues, or research around my former colleagues, Guy Briscoe, who was a friend of mine, and who the evidence, I can't ignore what I found in relation to him coming in from this research, which explains a lot, actually. So we're going to be talking about the Dunblane massacre. But before we do that, I'm just going to give a very quick summary of who I am and what this is about, for those of you that haven't seen me before. So I am Gary, a former UK police constable, in the police for 18 years, in Kent Police from 2000 to 2006, and then I was in Dorset Police from 2006 until 2018, where I voluntarily resigned. In 2018 I resigned, and then in 2022, as I was part of a company called Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, I requested to see our bank documents, being this director, after a roof project on the building, because the company related to a building where I was living at the time. And the acting chairman, Anthony Roberts, refused, or became angry at me for wanting to look at the bank accounts for the company, and he resigned a few days later. So this triggered me to look into it further. Little did I know it would expose the most important critical evidence in relation to humanity. We're now looking at it, linking in with possibly falsified prophecies and the end of all of creation. How huge this really is now, and it's just escalated and escalated and escalated. And the big thing that I found out, which took a few months, was what the real issue in the fraud and what they've been doing. This is how governments and their organisations, so you've got the police involved, the military, the NHS, all the government organisations are in on it. And that's because they're forging Companies House registration system and the incorporation documents, which creates criminal fraudulent entity companies, which is against their own criminal legislation, which they expect us to all abide by. So this now proves that they are the real criminals of the world. And this has been planned for a very, very long time. In fact, everything appears to have been set up around this international government fraud. This includes governments themselves, the police, the military, the councils, the MPs, all set up around this system of fraud. And that's because it's linked into the taxation system. So it enables them to launder money, in other words, steal money from you, the most of you, the innocent, whoever's innocent in all of this, and funnel it through into offshore accounts in relation to the problems that it now seems they're actually causing. This is how huge this evidence now is. So we're going to be talking about the Dunblane massacre, and it actually looks as though they are deliberate, at the very least, okay, on the best case scenario, they are deliberately and knowingly facilitating the laundering of money in relation to mass shootings, terrorism, crimes against children, international conflicts, wars, drug trafficking, and the ability to basically murder millions of people if they wanted to in relation to this international government fraud. That's a best case scenario. The worst case scenario, they are actually in collaboration with those carrying out these attacks, okay? In other words, shooters in the mass shootings as part of this international crime and deception against humanity. Worst case scenario. Now, I covered it quickly in my TikTok channel. Why would they be doing this in relation to the mass shootings? Well, first of all, it gives them the ability to then come in with new gun control measures, okay, to take guns away from potentially innocent people that may defend themselves against something that these sinister individuals in our organisations are planning in the future. Okay, that's something that's very likely part of this. It enables them to see the narrative. So, for example, if they say that the shooter is a particular skin colour or faith group, then that enables them to steer an agenda to cause risk of conflict and divide, okay, and divert the truth of the real problem away from them and away from their system. It also enables them to launder money and put control measures in as part of the control against the innocents and launder money through the investigations of those events, okay, which is 100% will be going on, all right, through this international government fraud. Even if they're not actually actively involved in the shootings and arranging it, they will be laundering money through those investigations, 100%, because of the company's house fraud, because they removed the accountability and liability through no verification. In other words, no details were being checked since 1844, no addresses, no names, and they're still allowing loopholes for that non-verification. And by the forgery itself, okay, which is the real crime in this, the forgery of the actual register and the forgery of the incorporation documents against their own criminal legislation, okay? The other reason they may be doing this, which is that, again, the evidence has become really quite overwhelming, this is a motive, is it enables the falsified prophecy, okay, to be a gradual escalation of sin, or the apparent escalation of sin, but they are behind it, okay, to lead towards a falsified prophetic event, potentially even a tribulation period on earth, using the technology that they are also involved in, okay? And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that's the case. Where I'm finding connections now to the Catholic Church all the way through this, to the Church of England, and therefore the Vatican, obviously, and you're talking the Archbishop of Canterbury, Archbishops of Canterbury, etc., all implicated in this international government fraud. And it's all linking in with the blood of the children, which is a huge part of this, where it appears from all of the evidence, and I pray it's not really happening, but it looks like it is, where they're torturing children and then murdering children. And there's a big huge bit of evidence, or lots of different bits of evidence, that suggests they're actually skinning the children alive, as well as other very serious crimes against children as part of this, and potentially laundering money, your money through people watching those events unfold and choosing how those children are treated, tortured, and unalived, and paying for the decisions on what happens to those children. Okay, and people pay vast amounts of money, sadly, for that sort of thing, and it'll be your money that they're laundering from you, stealing from you, and paying for that to happen. Okay, that's how that's what it looks like's happening. There's a lot of evidence to prove that. Now, the international drugs element of this is a huge part of this, okay, because they've got this unlimited amount of money that they're stealing from everybody through this international fraud. Then it means a lot of them are very likely addicted. Okay, we're probably dealing with a lot of people running our world now that aren't even thinking rationally. They, if they're addicted to certain substances, cocaine, or even the blood of the children in this, there's a big suggestion that the blood of the children is an addictive substance, the adrenochrome, then we've got a potentially very lost and unstable group of people, shall we say, now running our world and our organizations. So it's huge, all right? 100% certainty, I can tell you, 100% certainty, you are living under a criminal, organized network of people. Your MPs, they've dressed them up in suits, make them sound a bit, they speak properly to make you trust them. The police are involved in this, and unfortunately, At the moment, I suspect every police officer and every member of the military, because nobody is doing anything about this, so we have to consider that they're all suspects. Now, at the moment, that means I'm potentially the only innocent police officer. Now, I don't say this lightly. I've got my own colleagues that are blocking me and have actually turned against me, even though I've got evidence proving everything I'm saying. All right, now that is very worrying. Very, very worrying indeed. And it is looking, like I've said, as though a lot more people are compromised by this than what I was hoping. Anyway, I could talk a lot more about, the whole background of this, but let's get into the Dunblane massacre side of things. So the Dunblane massacre took place in the gymnasium of Dunblane Primary School in Dunblane, near Stirling in Scotland, on the 13th of March 1996, when 43-year-old Thomas Hamilton killed 16 pupils, supposedly, and one teacher, and injured 15 others before killing himself. It remains the deadliest mass shooting in British history, according to the research. Now, what I'm going to do is come to the comments every now and then, so you might want to hold fire on asking any questions until I sort of actually mention it. Following the killings, public debate centred on gun control laws, including public petitions for a ban on private ownership of handguns and an official inquiry which produced the 1996 Cullen Report. The incident led to a public campaign known as the Snowdrop Petition, which helped bring about legislation, specifically 2 new firearms acts, which prohibited the private ownership of most handguns in Great Britain. The UK government instituted a buyback programme which provided compensation to licensed owners. So you can see, if we've got a very evil group of people behind these, then you can see they're even paying people to get those guns. Now, if they were behind the shooting, this shows how desperate they are. They want those guns from the innocents. And now the only reason they would want the guns from the innocents, if they're behind all of these mass shootings, is because they plan a future event and they don't want the risk of whatever they're going to be doing against humanity of being shot themselves in relation to this. Now, I had already received information from others who I later suspected were compromised that Thomas Hamilton had been a procurer of children for the likes of Gerald McCann, and that supposedly the children were taken to islands on some of the Scottish lochs. Now, Thomas Hamilton is the shooter for the incident. Now, those individuals then turned on me and not long after providing that information. Now, that made me think they were compromised. I've got to consider that actually they had to protect themselves because they got to a point where I was uncovering too much truth. So they had to turn on me to make it seem as though they were against me rather than with me. Okay, that's what I have to consider now with some of these people that are turning against me. So they had provided this information, which I cannot verify or have not verified that. Okay. Now, Thomas Watt Hamilton was born as Thomas Watt Jr. on the 10th of May 1952, which is the year before the Queen's coronation, and I suspect the Queen is an imposter. The year prior to that, 1951, information suggests that the Stone of Crone or Stone of Destiny went missing from Westminster, and potentially a fake stone was used in the coronation of the Queen. And that's the real stone is required supposedly for real coronations. And I think it is to create a bridge, if you like, to the creator through moral conscience. So it looks as though they didn't use the real stone. And of course, that broke the chain of moral conscience, which they could come in with a fake royal family, which appears to be very, very evil in all of this. So that was in 1951. The coronation then happened in 1953 with the Queen. And the same year, you had the MK Ultra program began, the mass non-consensual mind control on the public. There's so much evidence in relation to that, and it looks as though that actually links into my family, and everything is linked in with my families, to be honest with you. And then 1954, the year afterwards, you had the foundation of the CERN, the actual organisation that oversees the collider technology. So the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva in Switzerland. I'm not too sure if they oversee the collider in New York, but they will have something to do with it. Anyway, so Thomas Hamilton was born in 1952. Another consideration we have to think about, and I'm going to see if I can find the links, is the Doomsday Cult, okay, which linked to Julian Assange also ties to the name Hamilton. Okay, so it's possible that the Dunblane massacre is going to be linked to, it is linked to, through the companies, it is linked to Julian Assange. However, I might be able to find a more confirmation of the name tying in with Julian Assange's family names as well. Anyway, and the cult in Scotland. So he was born in Glasgow in 1952, the son of Thomas Watt, who was a bus driver, and Agnes Graham Hamilton, a hotel chambermaid. When Hamilton was 18 months old, his father abandoned the family for another woman, after which his parents divorced and his father had no contact with him thereafter. Thomas's maternal grandparents, James and Catherine Hamilton, raised Thomas as their son, legally adopting him and changing his name to Thomas Watt Hamilton. The family relocated to Stirling when Hamilton was a young boy. He was made to believe that his maternal grandparents were his actual parents and that his mother was his older sister. Hamilton's grandparents told Thomas the truth when he was around 22 years old, which reportedly had a lasting psychological impact on him. Now, this is interesting because this is what, and I did mention this on the live the other day before I had to cut it off. This is what happened to my father. Okay, and when you look at the research surrounding Julian Assange, it suggests babies are being swapped at birth. Okay. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton. Sorry, I'm looking at the questions every now and then. Thomas Hamilton had a link with Prince Philip. I've heard that before. That's very interesting if he did. Yeah, and Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, absolutely. Could be connected as well. Why I'm in a tent. I don't really want to go too far off of what the evidence at the moment. I'm in a tent to try and stay safe so that I can, because I've got to continue building evidence. And this is the most critical evidence on the planet at the moment. So I really need to just keep safe. So my father, who's massively linked into this, as is everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people in my family, was led to believe that his mum was led to believe that his auntie was his real mum. And my dad was actually he was suicidal, very depressed towards the end of his life, turned to drink quite a lot. And I was led to believe that it was because of something to do with this adoption of his and this him being told later that actually his real mum all his life had been his auntie. And he didn't find out until after she died. Now, she had the name who I was led to believe was my nan. So in other words, that was my father's auntie, really, supposedly. I was led to believe my nan and his mum. She was called Queenie. Now, I've never heard anyone called Queenie. And now my dad's adopted family are associated with the Cray twins. And it appears the Cray twins were involved in the infiltration of the royal family and putting a fake queen in that position. Yeah, that's I mean, there's so much evidence around this now that the Crays were involved in that infiltration and removing the real royal family and implementing a new one. And it looks as though that's tying in with the Vatican and the black nobility families. So the Cray twins were very likely instructed by the mafia surrounding the Vatican as part of the United Kingdom infiltration. That was, it appears, their role was to take out the royal family, implement a fake royal family as part of this Vatican-connected world infiltration, tying in with the Catholic Church. I mean, there's so much we could talk about. The infiltration of Rome in 1870 is really, really important, where it looks as though the Freemasons were involved in taking over Rome, and they imprisoned the popes, it appears. And this is all starting to link in with Donald Trump's family being implicated in this right back then. Here, Donald Trump's grandfather was called Arthur Trump, and he was from Bavaria in Germany. And that part of Germany became a part of the new Germanic Empire in 1870, that same year. Okay. And it was a year afterwards that the letter appears to have been written by Albert Pike, a high-level Freemason or occultist, to Mazzini, the head of the Illuminati linking into the Vatican, setting out a 3 World War deception to bring about the light of Lucifer upon the earth. I mean, we could go off on a whole new subject of that. So let me get back to. Sorry, my brain's going off. I'm talking about one thing, and then I want to get this subject really covered with the Dunblane massacre. So let me get back to this. I do apologise. So anyway, we had all of this confusion with him and his families, and of course, as I've said, the Julian Assange evidence in the family cult suggests the swapping of babies, the falsifying of birth certificates. I think that's probably going to have happened with me. So it's all part of this. So when where did we get to? So this obviously caused him a lot of psychological distress. He began working in youth organisations. As the head of several youth clubs, Hamilton had been the subject of several complaints to police regarding inappropriate behaviour towards young boys, including claims that he had taken photographs of semi-naked boys without parental consent, and he had briefly been a scout leader. A search for Thomas Watts Hamilton, by putting his name followed by company's house through Google, reveals the filing section. Okay, it brings up a filing section, not the overview, of a company called Code Stuff Limited, CODESTUFF Limited. It was incorporated in 2004 and dissolved in 2021. Harper McLeod LLP of an address in Glasgow is shown in the registered address. Now, McLeod and McCullum is the name of the solicitors that I went to in Inverness as part of the strategy to stop the fraud. They arrested me a week later. McLeod is the name of Donald Trump's mother, was the name of his mother, who lived on an island called Lewis Island off the coast of Scotland before she moved to America when she was around 18 years old, and then married Arthur, same name as his grandfather, Arthur Trump. And there's research that I've done around that which links back into the fraud and back to Donald Trump. Okay. So we now have a McLeod company connection in Glasgow back in with this research. Okay. It has Stephen Mabbott, Brian Reed on its incorporation document, which makes critical actual connections to the fraud, the intelligence agencies, and into the falsified prophecy evidence that I've got. It also links into the main currency producer, De La Rue, very, very quickly. And that has just in July, last year now, came off the London Stock Exchange for the first time since 1947. As I'm continuing my exposure, and 1947 was the year of the start of the Doomsday Clock, okay, which represents an upcoming man-made apocalyptic event on Earth. And it came off the London Stock Exchange and was purchased by a company called Atlas Holdings. Now, I'd already been told by the same people that told me about the Dunblane side of things that I told you about a minute, that bit of information. They had told me that Atlas Holdings Limited, okay, had been involved in acquiring missing nuclear weapons from the 1980s. All right, so I now suspect that these people were actually on the right side and they had to turn against me to protect themselves. So if you're listening out there, Cornerstone and what was the name of the other person? I've forgotten the name of the other person. I do, forgive me. But it's now seeming that they were trying to give me the right information, okay, and then had to turn against me. So they said that this Atlas Holdings Limited had been involved in acquiring missing nuclear weapons from the 1980s. Now, Atlas is a very important word in all of this because Atlas is also the name. It was involved in the first intercontinental ballistic missile for the United States. Atlas is also the name of the experiment that happened at CERN on the 4th of July 2012. Okay. Atlas is also the name of the fake comet that they've tried to make you believe is there, I believe, the 3-eye Atlas comet. And there's various other connections that I can't remember, but it is very relevant in all of this. So this company, the filing history shows that 6 directors resigned from it on the 16th of March 2012. This is just over a month before Jeffrey Epstein held a meeting with Stephen Hawking and CERN scientists, and just under 4 months before CERN claims to have discovered the God particle. This includes a Thomas Watt and a Robert Hamilton. All right, so different names than Thomas Hamilton, but potentially combining or splitting the name. This is what they're doing. My email address is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. Gary with one R, TheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm going to be coming on to Andy Murray in a minute. You're going to be blown away by what I've found out. Well, you won't be. It's all making sense now. The company's registered address was changed from Breck Pit Studio in West Lothian, Scotland, on the 28th of January 2014, and again the day afterwards from a digital barriers of a Vincent Place address in Glasgow. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is it's building up the evidence around the illegitimacy of this company and how it's tying in with the fraud. And what they're doing, they're literally changing an address one day, okay, and then the address is changing again the next day, the registered addresses. And there's a lot of that happening since the fraud has been exposed. So they're panicking. They're trying to work out what address they need to put the companies as. They're getting directors to resign. They're shutting companies down. They're changing the companies' names. They're creating new companies that are linked to allow them to launder the money through into collectively whatever they're planning. You can see where they're panicking through the research. Various other address changes take place relating to Digital Barriers PLC. Remember, this was mentioned in the filing history of this company. And Grant Thornton, as well, is mentioned that has already been connected immediately to Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council, where Exbourne Manor is based. So the company that I was removed from for refusing to file forged bank documents, we now have a link to that area via the filing history of this first company we're looking at in relation to the Thomas Hamilton popping up, okay? Now, that was involved, what's the name of the company again? Grant Thornton was, I believe, involved in the potential auditing of the finances surrounding Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole after I was reporting the fraud, I believe, or around that same time. And it links into multiple other areas. A separate search for Digital Barriers PLC, remember that was on the filing history, reveals George Realizations Limited, that was incorporated as Digital Barriers Limited in April 2009, 5 months before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated. And that company connects almost all areas of my research onto the one document, proving a centralized criminal network that's in place, okay, all going, everything, every angle that I've come from every mass murder, every terrorist incident, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, members of politicians, most of it all links to that one document, okay, via companies that are on it, which is the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. And that would make sense because that's where Companies House was supposedly based, in Wales. And Charles became the Prince of Wales, okay, giving the ability, symbolically, but also the physical ability to control and infiltrate the Companies House registration system, who were creating the criminal companies that were going to take over the world as part of all of this. And of course, this then all ties in with Princess Diana's death and everything else that's gone on that you're all aware of over the last few years. It's all to do with this, everybody. So this, we have Digital Barriers Limited on the was incorporated as Digital Barriers Limited on the April 2009, 5 months before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated, and I became a director of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, which was about 2 weeks before the company's, the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated. The company's name was changed to Digital Barriers PLC in February 2010, and not again until the 26th of November 2025, according to the overview. This was as the exposure continued, and obviously that's not very long ago at all. It's no coincidence that's 15 years later they suddenly decide to change the company name, okay? It is shown as being in administration. So in other words, it's not an active company like normal. They're panicking. They're realizing, oh dear, Gary's exposing everything. we need to bring this company in, get it into administration, which very likely means they're going to shut that company down and get rid of it, okay, because they know they're in serious trouble. So it's in administration. It has an address of Hampshire. Oh. An address of Hampshire, which is where Deborah Fleming was an NHS chief executive, and Jordan's Limited on its incorporation document. The exact same company that started Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. And therefore, it is a criminal organisation. The filing history shows that its address was changed in November 2009, which is 2 months after the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated. And in fact, the month after that company was created, it was either because the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated on the 29th of September 2009, I believe. I think it was November that they repealed an act in the 2006 Fraud Act. And that was, I think it was section 10 of the act. And that section related to corporations. So what they thought is, right, what we'll do is we'll repeal that act. We'll get rid of that act in the 2006 Fraud Act so that we can use these companies as part of our agenda and launder the money into what we're doing. And by repealing that act, they believed that it helped remove the accountability liability for the agenda that our international governments were now working towards. All linking in with COVID, before that, the World Trade Center disaster, threat from directed energy, Princess Diana's death. If that wasn't an accident, it's 100% because of this. If she did die, all right, it's possible she's involved as part of a deception. However, let's just assume she did die. If it wasn't an accident, then it will be because of this, 100%. So in July 2017, after the Pizzagate scandal was exposed and Trump became the president, further changes were then made from Digital Barrier Cargo Works in London was another company, okay, that they then changed as a registered address company as Donald Trump came in as the president. Thomas Joseph Black connects George Realizations Limited to 22 companies, including Herald Investment Trust PLC, based in Edinburgh, which is where the oldest active Freemason lodge is based. 22 companies, limited 22 companies, including this Trust PLC company based in Edinburgh, and connected significantly to the centralised control of information. Various BAE companies, system companies are on there, okay? The largest defence contractor for the United Kingdom, and to Intelligent Transport Systems, United Kingdom Limited, that was incorporated as RTI Focus UK in 1992, which is the same year that the Catholic Church became a legal entity and the Companies House Register started to become electronic. There's no coincidence, everybody, that the same year that the Companies House Register starts to become electronic, which is ironically, maybe not ironically, maybe it's planned that I'm supposed to uncover this. It's the same year that the Companies House Register started to become electronic. That's how I've identified the government fraud, through the inconsistency with the register and the documents. And it's the same year that the Catholic Church became a legal entity. That's no coincidence, everyone. Its name was changed in 2021, and it connects immediately to the fraud by ICC formations on its incorporation document. And one of the directors connects to some Capita companies that feature throughout the fraud, and Capita PLC, I believe, is links to the blood of the tortured children almost immediately. And what I mean by that is the case of Ricky Dearman, whose two children had claimed that he had not only been a ringleader for sexual abuse and grape against them, but also had made them take part in the decapitation of babies and the drinking of babies' blood in a church and a school in London. And that links, the research from that is immediately connected into CERN as well via the research. So at the moment, we're just still coming in from that initial search of Thomas Watts Hamilton. Okay, that's what we've just coming from so far. It's going to get a lot more interesting, all right? And you're going to find some more concrete connections into all of this. That there is no way they can say, well, it's just a coincidence, okay? Even that, you're going to struggle to say that. But what we're going to do is look at some stuff that there is no way out, really, for them in relation to this. Thomas Joseph Black connects George Realizations, that company we're looking at, limited to 22 companies, including Herald Investment Trust PLC, based in Edinburgh, and connecting significantly. I've done that. Sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm not doing very well tonight. So we have these linked to BAE Systems, the largest defence contractor. They feature right the way throughout the fraud. We've got the same year as the Catholic Church, and we've got the connections to ICC formations and Capita. Okay, Neil Andrew Milsom connects George Realizations, the company we're looking at, 21 companies with several orange and EE companies. Okay, EE is obviously a phone company, and it stands for Everything Everywhere. Now, one of the companies that's cropping up a lot is Every Child, okay, linking in with the crimes against children. Now, this, to me, I'm thinking, okay, this is where they're going to literally invert and destroy everything everywhere. Every child, they're going to destroy absolutely all of creation, including every child, and how that ties in with all of this. I suspect that's a symbolic telling us everything everywhere and every child. And EE features a lot throughout the fraud, links in with obviously the cell tower technology, etc. as well. A search with Companies House for Thomas Hamilton. So the first search was literally putting Thomas Watt Hamilton, followed by the names Companies House in Google and seeing what it came back with in Companies House. Now we've gone into Companies House and literally searching Thomas Hamilton. And it shows a record for Thomas Hamilton 4 months younger than the date of birth they've publicised for him. Okay? And I know that the dates they're publicising are not necessarily always correct. Okay? So they're providing variations of details, but by tracing it back in through the Companies House records to the same companies in the fraud, we can show you see that it still ties back in with everything, even though it's a variation of a detail. So this Thomas Hamilton is 4 months different. And it links to T. Hamilton Limited, that was incorporated in December 1994, which is less than 2 years before the attack, okay, the Dunblane massacre. The nature of business is shown as freight transport by road. And I'm finding this a lot throughout the research, okay, as there's a lot of freight companies. Now, of course, we have to consider how are they getting these children around everywhere. And a lot of evidence suggests it is within freight containers, okay? And there's so much evidence to suggest that the children are being put in freight containers. And you'll be aware, I'm sure, of cases where bodies, large amounts of bodies, have been found in containers, okay? That's been on the news over the last few years, hasn't it? Now, they make us believe, obviously, that it's nothing to do with our governments and there's somebody that's just literally involved in trafficking people. 100% our governments are involved in trafficking people. 100%. This includes the police. This includes the intelligence agencies. It includes members of the NHS. All right. It's not just other organisations, underground organisations. So this company, incorporated less than 2 years before the attack, a name of Ashok Bhardwaj is in the people record. And this connects immediately to the research of the fraud. In other words, a name that they're using at key times throughout the fraud. There's certain names that they're using, very likely stolen identities, not real names or made up names, because there's no verification, remember. But I can check, you see, and cross-reference and see where else that name has featured. And that name actually features in the very recent research of the Las Vegas shooting. Okay, coming in from the, I can't remember what part, but a bit of the research of the Las Vegas shooting comes in and ties into that name. And also that name crops up with a company called XL UK Limited, I believe it is. And I researched that company after I saw a video, which maybe he's a good guy now. Maybe he's just got to pretend that he's not. Okay. And that's probably why he gave me the information about the blood of the tortured children initially. Andrew Bridgen. Because I've seen a video of Andrew Bridgen recently, the video that when I saw it, talking about a company called XL involved in the spraying of the skies, okay, where we're all seeing these cloud spraying. And that name, exact same name, Ashok Bhardwaj, is right there on that company for an XL company. So that now links 3 different key events, therefore to the same people, all right, with the same name. Okay, so you've got the Las Vegas shooting, the Dunblane massacre, and the sky spraying. According, if what Andrew Bridgen has said is correct, and that company is linked to the sky spraying, then I've found a connection now to this same name. And it also features in other places in my research, but I haven't got that in front of me at the moment. But it also features in key areas. When you go into the name record, it connects to almost 8,400 companies, this person's name. And it includes social services related companies. Sally Lisa Hamilton, with no date of birth, is shown as one of the other directors for this company. A separate search of Sally Lisa Hamilton reveals one other entry, which is connected to a company called Happy Street Limited that was incorporated in October 2022. This is as I was escalating my inquiries at Exbourne Manor, and when an interfaith meeting took place that exact same month with Pietro Parolin. And the research of Pietro Parolin connects into the prophecy of the popes and a link to a 3-eye company, and therefore a very likely the 3-eye Atlas comet deception in all of this, in linking in with the prophecy of the popes. What was I going to say? Obviously, October, that's when I'm escalating my inquiries. At the end of October is when Elon Musk wore a Baphomet, okay, which is the symbol for the Church of Satan, to a Halloween party. It's also the year when red heifers, in fact, September 2022, red heifers were moved from Texas to Israel, according to the research. Now, if you're not aware of the scriptural third temple side of things, they required red heifers to sacrifice those red heifers to bring about the Antichrist. Okay, so what they're doing is leading into, as the evidence is being exposed, they're leading into the falsified prophecies in relation to all of this. So the red heifers got moved that month. It's also the same year that the Queen supposedly died in September 2022, on the 8th of September. I suspect she didn't. So you can see, as I was exposing things in 2022, loads of really key things happened that we could talk about. There's loads. Elon Musk's brother bought a drone company in July 2022. It's the same month that Anthony Roberts resigned. It's the same month that CERN conducted an experiment for the first time since July 2019, which is the same month that Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, and when a protest took place in Wuhan of an incinerator plant being built in Wuhan in China. So it all ties in. And then July is also when the Georgia Guidestones that represented an upcoming man-made apocalyptic event also that had been erected in Georgia in America in 1980, they were damaged and then removed in July 2022, all in the same month. Within a case of 4 days, you had, or certainly within a case, a couple of weeks, you had all of these things happen. And obviously, Anthony Roberts resigning that month was what triggered my investigation. Anyway, getting back to this. So we have this company, Happy Street Limited. Now, the school where have I got that there? Yeah, the school where the shooting occurred is Dunblane Primary School, but there is no obvious trace of a company in relation to that specific name that I can find so far. And I haven't finished my research, but a search of the word Dunblane within Company's House reveals Dunblane Kids Club that was incorporated on the 17th of June 1997. This is 15 months after the shooting took place. It is a criminal company with Jordan's and Oswald's of Great King Street, Edinburgh, on its incorporation document, which leads into the research of Michelle Mone, the royal family, Ghislaine Maxwell, Douglas Smith, the advisor for the last three prime ministers, Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, all linking in very quickly to those organisations. And Jordan's Limited was obviously the company on the incorporation document for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. And we have a Jordan's company on this incorporation document for Dunblane Kids Club. Mark Priestley connects Dunblane Kids Club to three companies, including British Educational Research Association, and Scottish Educational Review, big company name, that was incorporated in September 1997. Okay, so the year after the Dunblane massacre, and it dissolved in January 2025 as we continue to expose the international government fraud. It is a criminal company with Oswald's of Edinburgh on its incorporation document. Jordan's Scotland Limited is shown in the People Record, also a criminal organisation. Tina Marion Stewart connects Dunblane Kids Club to Jim Juniors Holdings Limited. Remember, the massacre occurred within the gym of the school. We now have gym companies just out of nowhere linking in with this new kids club that they've set up, company in not long after, 15 months after the shooting. And it has Dunblane Kids Club links to Jim Juniors Holdings Limited that was incorporated in June 2022. This is the month before Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor resigned. And this is as I'm making inquiries at Exbourne Manor. Jan Stewart is shown in the on the incorporation document and in the People Record, and connects to Jim Juniors Limited and GVA James Bar Limited that was incorporated in 1994 and has Brody's WS on its incorporation document with an address of Edinburgh. Its registered address is 206 Vincent Street, Glasgow, which is a variation of an address used throughout the fraud. And we've already mentioned Vincent Street in the other area that I came in from the research. And Brody's companies connect important areas of the fraud, including almost immediately to MacLeod and McClellan, the same company that I attended in Inverness as part of the strategy, with the surname of MacLeod being the same name as Donald Trump's mother. Brody's companies connect important areas in other parts as well of the fraud. Research shows the first call to the police was made by the headmaster of the school, Ronald Taylor, who had been alerted by assistant headmistress Agnes Olson, AWLSON, to the possibility of a gunman in the gymnasium or other parts of the school. In November 1998, 2 years after the incident, articles emerged that Taylor had started a new career as an advisor in a government drive to raise standards of primary schools, working for Stirling Council. An internet search for Ronald Taylor, Stirling Council, through Google reveals Company's House record for a Ronald Stirling Taylor, with no date of birth, having been appointed to a company called Commercial and Residential Electrical Limited in July 2000 and resigning in July 2001, which is literally the same month that Larry Silverstein acquired the lease for the World Trade Center, the only time it had ever changed hands before the building's collapse in September that year. The World Trade Center disaster is 100% because of this international government fraud and everything I'm exposing. The company was incorporated in June 2000 and it dissolved, so the year before the World Trade Center disaster, it dissolved on the 22nd of September 2011, just over a month before Jimmy Savile's apparent death. It connects immediately to the fraud by Form 10 companies on its incorporation document, and it has a correspondence address in Dundee, Scotland, and a registered address in Glasgow. A search for Ronald Taylor on Companies House, remember this is the name of the headmaster at the time of the shooting, through Google reveals a record for a Ronald Taylor born in 1947, connected to 12 companies, with many being educational related companies based in Scotland. One of the companies is UNIM, which is spelled Uniform November India Mike, or UNIM, or UNIM, joined together potentially. Scientific Limited. It was incorporated in 1998, 2 years after the shooting, and dissolved in January 2024 as the exposure continued. Alan Ross McNiven connects this company to 163 companies, including Tesco Corporation UK Limited, that was incorporated in 2000, with its name being changed for the last time in March 2001, leading up to the World Trade Center disaster, when its name was called Tesco Drilling Technology UK Limited. It dissolved on the 20th of May 2025. Okay, so started, incorporated 2000, changed its name 2001, dissolved 2025 as the exposure continued. This was not long after the main Siemens company changed its name for the first time since 1962, after I exposed it being connected to Jeffrey Epstein. And that was on the 5th of May 2025. And Siemens is massively linked to the CERN, Collider technology, the crimes against the children, and the international government fraud. Tesco companies feature throughout the fraud at various times, at key times in the research. McNiven, this same director, also connects to Reactor Emergency Maintenance Services Limited. Reactor Emergency Maintenance Services Limited, that was incorporated as Alkenbreck Limited in 2000. Sounds German, doesn't it? Before its name was changed to Reactor Automatic Door Closers Limited. It dissolved in 2012, the same year that CERN claims to have discovered the God particle. So we have this Tesco Drilling Company, and we have this Reactor company as well. Okay, linking in with the timings around CERN. Now, the drilling company, I suspect, is because to build these the Collider technology facilities, for example, the one that they've got under CERN, if it's real in Geneva, we have to consider it not real. But if it is real, then the tunnel, I think, is 91 kilometers? It's 100 meters underground. So you're talking major drilling. And this is why I believe Elon Musk purchased literally the Boring Company. It's called the Boring Company at a key time. And now they are trying to build a collider 3 times larger than the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva. And hopefully you would have seen one of my posts and heard me talking about it, that literally on the 18th of December, thanks to somebody else who gave me the information, and, really appreciate that. On the 18th of December, an article was publicised that very rich donors have donated nearly £1 billion to ensure that a larger Hadron Collider is built. Now, that money will be stolen from the masses. So they are desperate, it seems, to actually build a collider. And this is an international converging project, okay, in relation to this fraud. So all of these leaders are all working together on this, even those that you're being led to believe are at risk of conflict. They're all actually connected to the collider technology. Now, I've thought about loads of different options. Well, what if what if this is something they're aware of that's going to happen, and this technology is going to be used to help save humanity or save Earth? Well, no, because that doesn't make sense. Well, why have you got the sacrificing of the children and the blood of the children? Why have you got the mass shootings and the murders? You know, we're talking about dark, sinister stuff here, all right? And very likely, what they've probably done is, as part of their agenda, they probably lied to a lot of the people that are in the know of government secrets of a false natural apocalyptic event impending. I don't believe there's going to be any natural event, all right? And therefore, and they could be using that information to control the individuals in on the government fraud, okay, and giving them the promise of salvation and their families in that event as a way of keeping them under control, because a lot of these people will not want to be involved in the skinning of children alive. All right, they will not want to be involved in the torture of babies and children. So they've got to come up with some way of keeping these people from telling the truth about the fraud. And I believe they will use a false story of a natural apocalyptic event to actually maintain control of those individuals. Now, it's possible that this is going to be, you know, I've got to think of all of the theories in this, that it's possible that within this international government fraud, linking with the religious establishments, there are good people that are setting up the demise of those that are behind the evil in the world through this falsified natural apocalyptic deception, i.e., and a big part of this is when I was talking about the falsified prophecies linking in with all of this and falsified apocalyptic natural disasters such as asteroids or whatever, Catherine Fitz comes out and admits, okay, that they have funneled $21 trillion into an underground doomsday city for the rich and famous. Now, Catherine Fitz obviously didn't respond to me. I tried contacting her, didn't mention the company's house fraud, and she's actually linked to Export Manor Freehold Limited very quickly via a company she used to work for. She was, if you don't know who she was, she used to work for the Bush administration in the White House. So she suddenly comes out, as I'm talking about all of these falsified prophecies and potentially a fake doomsday situation, she comes out with that information. Now, it could be they're setting up a fake natural apocalyptic deception, as I've said, to maintain control, and then they're going to judge those people, okay, as some sort of judgment for being part of the evil system and remaining quiet when they have this evidence of children suffering as some sort of fake judgment on those individuals, i.e. the tunnel system will flood. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Exborn Manor, if you put Exborn Manor and then Manor backwards and you translate that, it means stay out of the water. And somebody actually said to me, I had information, they said, Gary, those tunnel systems are going to be flooded if people try and save themselves. So if you're listening to this and you're in the police or you're in the military and you've been promised salvation, you're very likely being set up. Okay, the only salvation for all of you is through full disclosure of the truth, full repentance, whatever your part in of this is, and a collective effort to change this forever for future generations so it never happens again. And we have a transparent system. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be absolved of any wrongdoing in this world. There has to be some sort of consequences to those that are instrumental in all of this. But that is the only way out of this for everybody. Right, now, all of you, Guy Briscoe, my supposed mum, Maureen Waterman, my friend, Chris Gamay, Andrew Morgan, whoever you are involved in this, and I've got the evidence, then you need to come forward in truth. It's the only way for all of you to be spiritually saved. Truth, repentance, and a commitment to change. It's the only way. I honestly believe there's going to be spiritual consequences to those that are not doing that. Now, many of you have had nearly 3.5 years now, over 3.5 years, since I've been exposing this to do the right thing and come out with this. Now, at the moment, I've got to consider and suspect that every police officer is an enemy of the people. Every member of the military, every former member of the police and the military are an enemy of the people. That is what it is appearing at the moment. You all appear to be part of this, the crimes against the children. Now, you really need to listen to everything I'm saying here, because this evidence I've got is absolutely overwhelming. All right, it's nearly 1,000 pages. It's all verifiable. There's people around the world checking it, verifying it. Now, once we get to that disclosure of the full truth, okay, we have that grounding, we have that foundation. We now know where we go with it. We now know what we need to do, to move forward with this and to ensure that this never happens. Until we get that full disclosure, we can't believe a word that our governments are saying. We can't believe any of the police. We can't believe any of the military, any of the veterans. I've got now evidence in relation to the World Martial Authority. Definitely part of the deception. It's overwhelming. Yeah, someone said to me, Gary, now I haven't verified this, but they're saying they're linked to the Vatican. So this means SECAN and the World Martial Authority. Now look what they've done. They've come out and they've said that you're all going to get over £8,000 a month for 20 years as compensation for the corruption and the COVID situation. If any of you take money, all right, as a compensation for this, then you are part of the problem. You're very likely, or quite possibly, being set up as part of a judgment situation. You could well be. There is no amount of money that will fix this. The only way that we need to resolve this is we need a system in place where future generations never go through this again, and we bring about a heaven on earth. And it will be. If you have transparency, truth, clarity, the removal of irrationality by the system they've got in place, and you have that clarity and rationality and the moral conscience's foundation forever moving forward, it will be practically heaven on earth. Transparency, absolutely. So anyway, let's get back to this. So we have this reactor company linking into the Tesco organisation coming in. The same director also connects to Crisis Risk and Issues Network Europe Limited, that was incorporated in 1998 and dissolved in 2024, like so many of them. And the research that I did months ago, someone actually sent it to me and I verified it, of over a fifth of all companies on Companies House have dissolved and shut since I've been exposing this. Many, many more are in the process of shutting down. So that tells you how big this is and how the Companies House system has actually been set up as part of this. And they've drawn so many people into it, thinking that, it'd be a good way to avoid tax. Reduce liability against me. You've been drawn in. You have been deceived because you are part of a system of very serious crimes against children. Very serious crimes against children. And ultimately, according to all of the evidence, your demise and the demise of your own children, according to all of this research. Let that sink in. All the time you're keeping quiet, you are risking your own family's future. Referring back to the same record for Taylor, remember we're looking at the research of the name of the head teacher at the Dunblane massacre. They also connect to Albin School Limited, that was incorporated as Albin School for Girls Limited in 1948. This is the same year as the related Israeli-Arab War. And I'll tell you what, it's related because behind this international government fraud, you have huge connections to the Rothschilds. Okay, and the Rothschilds were the ones that fomented the Israel as it is today in the Balfour Declaration. And the Israel-Arab War was as a result of what was happening surrounding the Israel fermentation involving the Rothschilds from 1917. But it goes back a lot further than that. We're going right back to the Reformation, but this is more recently, obviously, 1917. And they are linked very closely with the various families, but you've also got the Goldsmith family whose original name was Goldschmidt, and they originate in Germany again, in the, is it Frankfurt area? Not too sure. I think it might be Frankfurt or Bavaria. But Germany is obviously massive in all of this. Okay, and the Nazi regime is almost certainly a deception in all of this, linking in with the Albert Pike letter to Mazzini in 1871, and that also links in, and if you read the Albert Pike document, you can see it mentions Palestine and Gaza in there, tying in with the World War III element in all of this. Sorry, just looking at your comment, I know there's lots of comments I probably haven't been seeing. Can use the evidence against council and child maintenance services? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All councils are part of this international government fraud, all of them. They all need to be arrested, all the councillors, all the MPs at some point. A lot of them have been resigning. This is why you had so many resigning over the last few years. But any of them, they're not going to get away with it, unfortunately. They're all going to have to be arrested if they have not done anything about this since it's been exposed, and they can't provide evidence that they have actually been trying to stop this, then they actually become part of it. That means they've all been conspiring to allow it to continue. And conspiring is a very broad offence. So, all councils are involved. Children's services will be involved in this. DWP, every council organisation is implicated in this international government fraud. It's all been set up around this international fraud. Remember, it's linked to the taxation system and the laundering of money from the masses. So we have this Albin School, incorporated in 1948. It has Bernus Paul LLP in its people record, making important connections to the St. Columbus prophecy and other areas of the research. The St. Columbus prophecy was a prophecy supposedly by, which again, these people that told me about Dunblane and the other stuff that we spoke about earlier, the Atlas Holdings Limited, the missing nuclear weapons, also from that information, it led me to acquiring the evidence of Columbus prophecy, which was a prophecy made by St. Columbus, obviously, saying that the end of the world would occur near the coast of Scotland by Iona. And then I've done loads and loads of research around Iona, and it links massively into the Flemings. The Flemings actually lived not far away, not the ones that initiated my removal, but some of their other family members lived not far away from Iona. And one of the Flemings, I think was it Valentine or Ian Fleming? I can't remember. One of them had a cottage in Glencoe in Scotland, and Jimmy Savile also lived right there in Glencoe. And there's hardly any properties in Glencoe. I've been there multiple times. And last year, suddenly, they're demolishing Jimmy Savile's old cottage, even though he died supposedly in 2011. It's no coincidence. This is as I'm exposing all of the evidence about Jimmy Savile. So the St. Columbus prophecy is a huge element in all of this, and that links in with the Archbishops of Canterbury, and obviously in with the Vatican again. Jennifer Evelyn Young connects Albin School Limited to Aberdeen and Grampian Chamber of Commerce, connecting other areas of the research, including to the staged court case against me. And all chambers of commerce have been set up specifically for this international government fraud. They're all part of the centralised criminal network. So is the Citizens Advice Bureaus. Paul Williamson's connects Albin Schools Limited record to 575 companies, with many appearing to be offshore drilling and technology companies linking in with the fraud. Janice Catherine Cutting connects Albin School Limited to Scotland's charity Air Ambulance that was incorporated in August 2010, 3 months before CERN Limited was incorporated on Companies House, and it has Thornton's Law on its incorporation document. Air ambulance companies feature at key times throughout the fraud. I suspect this is due to them being expensive to run them, and given the ability for large sums of money to be laundered through their operation of these helicopters. Now, there's a key bit where one of the helicopter companies, I can't remember the name of it, it ties in very quickly with my dreams and visions around the point where the evidence from Vanessa Emery claiming to be the real heir to the throne converges on the evidence with my family linking in with McDonald's and key areas of the fraud. All in that little area of my research, there's this air ambulance company as well. And an air ambulance company also made the link via God FM, from God FM, to the Lloyds Bank company that I'd acquired the evidence of. And that exact same Lloyds Bank company comes in from the research of the names on documents through my court case. Okay, the petition that I had for Alison Mackenzie, the exact same company linked from God FM, Aisha, and it was via an air ambulance company, I believe. And the Lloyds Bank company that we're talking about here is very important, because on page 40 of the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, you have Lloyds Bank companies. Remember, this Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales is where pretty much all areas of my research converges on that one document. And through Exbourne Manor, I acquired forged Lloyds Bank documents and overwhelming evidence showing that somebody on the Treasury Department of Lloyds Bank had actually produced those bank documents. And I had 2 emails from my former police force that inadvertently confirmed they were allowing those bank documents, those fake bank documents, to be produced by the bank. So this, of course, facilitates the laundering of the money from all of you, involving the police. I knew the police were involved at that point, from that point onwards. The first internet search for Ronald Taylor, remember, we're still talking about the headmaster of Dunblane at the time of the massacre, had also revealed articles from 2023 and April 2024, as I continued my exposure of Ronald Taylor being the managing director of a company called Parklands in Moray in Scotland, or Moray, Moray, in Scotland. Interestingly, the article dated 2023 suggests a date of 2025 for the actual website, possibly showing an attempt to manipulate information by backdating records to help hide the connections that I would uncover. So in other words, the article says 2023, but the actual website has a at 2025 link to the website, which suggests they may have somehow manipulated that date. I'm not too sure, but I just found that quite interesting. So he works, a name of the same person works for this Parklands organisation, which relates to care homes in Scotland. Where are we? A company's house search shows that Parklands Limited was incorporated in 1993, leading up to the deception and the attack against creation of the World Trade Center disaster, which is 100% part of this, and being related to care homes in Scotland. So we know it's the same company. It is a criminal company with Jordan's nominee Scotland Limited and Oswald's of Edinburgh Limited on its incorporation document. The exact same companies that we found coming in from the other research of the Dunblane massacre. A company's house search for the assistant headmistress at the time of the shooting reveals a record for an Agnes Robertson Olson, quite an unusual name, I think. I haven't heard it before. Maybe it's common in Scotland. AWLSON is connected to Recovery Scotland Limited. It was incorporated as the Central Scotland Council on Alcohol in January 1995, the same year that the Russian government intelligence agency and royal family-linked Hankloit International Advisory Board was incorporated, and is shown on page 40 of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that links all areas of the fraud. And that company has dissolved since I exposed it. According to the overview, its name was changed for the first time in March 2001 on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster. It has an address of Falkirk Council. Remember the Stirling Council, which is where Falkirk is in the Stirling area, I believe, as a general area. And we have Falkirk Council now coming in from the name of the former assistant headmistress. And remember, the headmaster had actually gone and worked for Stirling Council in that initial article. Has an address of Falkirk Council not far from Dunblane, and the filing history shows that its registered address was changed for the first time on the 11th of July 1996, almost 4 months to the day after the shooting, and not again until November 2009. So in other words, on the filing history, you can see where they're putting the changes of addresses as key events are happening before or after them. And you can see that it changes its name 4 months to the day after, almost to the day, sorry, after the shooting, not again until November 2009, which is 2 months after the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated. Famous tennis player Andrew Murray had survived the attack, and I had been informed by the same people again at the beginning that I told you about, that his family were potentially involved in a conspiracy regarding the attack, and that this is why Murray survived. Research shows that Murray says he was too young to understand what was happening and is generally reluctant to talk about it in an interview. But in his autobiography, Hitting Back, he states that he attended a youth group run by Hamilton, and his mother gave Hamilton lifts in her car. Remember, I had the information earlier that he was a person that had, I can't remember the word now, but he acquired children, procured children in relation to the crimes against children. Interestingly, my father had a contract at Wimbledon All England Lawn and Tennis Club as a carpenter, as well as other locations, including BBC TV studios and for British Telecom and for Pfizer. And I worked with my dad for a while before I became in the police. And I remember we were at Wimbledon and we were in the changing rooms, changing tiles. You know, these suspended ceilings you get with the tiles that you just drop in place. And in there was, now I think it was Greg Rosetsky, but I get mixed up. It was either Andrew Murray or Greg Rosetsky was there as we were changing these tiles, having a massage in the changing rooms, which I found quite interesting. The reason was on it, obviously I was a bit starstruck being there, working with my dad, and I remember going on centre court because my dad did a lot of the contracts of the rooms all around the centre court or the offices or what have you, and we were doing some work right there by centre court, and I wanted to walk on centre court when it was closed, and I thought, I'm just going to stand on it, and these alarms went off. The whole thing was alarmed. This voice started speaking an alarm on the coming through the centre court. So yeah, that was quite interesting. Anyway, the research shows that Sir Andrew Barron Murray, born 1987, is a British former professional tennis player and coach. He was ranked as the world number one in men's singles by the Association of Tennis Professionals for 41 weeks, including as the year-end number one in 2016, which is the same year that the Pizzagate scandal started to be exposed and a ritual appeared to take place at CERN by the Shiva statue representing creation and destruction. Murray won 46 ATP Tour single titles, including 3 majors at the 2012 US Open, 2013 Wimbledon Championships, and the 2016 Wimbledon Championships. He also won the 2 gold medals at the Summer Olympics. At the 2016 ATP World Tour Finals, 14 Masters events, and contested a total of 11 major finals. Murray was originally coached by his mother, Judy Murray, alongside his older brother, Jamie. Murray moved to Barcelona at the age of 15 to train at the Sanchez Cazell Academy. During this, Murray initially struggled against the rest of the Big Four contestants, or the Big Four players in tennis, losing his first 4 major finals, 3 to Federer and 1 to Djokovic. The fourth being in the 2012 final on the 8th of July, 2012. And I actually remember that. I think a lot of you will probably remember that. It was quite a tournament. So this was the 8th of July, 2012, which is 4 days after CERN claims to have discovered the God particle. And remember, within 3 months of that, prior to that, is when Jeffrey Epstein held a meeting with CERN scientists and Stephen Hawking. And the evidence on the Company's House record of Stephen Hawking links the name Nigel Leonard Blood straight to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is involved in the boring companies that appears to be trying to create an even bigger, larger Hadron Collider under the Future Circular Collider program. That name is Nigel Leonard Blood of the London Law Agency. And the address that normally has, or often has, is 84 Temple Way, or 84 Temple Avenue. Two temples in it. I can't remember the actual wording, but it's 84 Temple something, Temple again. Well, that address is the exact address that converges on my dreams and visions around the point of the McDonald's, the air ambulance side of things, and converges with the evidence from Vanessa and to my family's McDonald's, all tying in on that point of my document. Bearing in mind, it's nearly 1,000 pages. So, 4 days after CERN claims to have discovered the God particle, Murray would break through by defeating Federer 6-2, blah, 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 to win the 2012 London Olympics gold medal, and followed it up by defeating Djokovic to win the 2012 US Open, becoming the first British major singles champion since Virginia Wade in 1977. Now, the London Olympics are really important. It's the same year that CERN discovered the God particle, supposedly. And, of course, it's 100 years after the Titanic disaster. So I think it was all timed. The Titanic disaster is 100% all part of this. Loads of evidence in relation to that. And, of course, the London Olympics, they also held the water sports element of that, if you're not aware, in Weymouth in Dorset. A company's out there. Here we go. This is really critical now. This just blew me away. A Company's House search shows that Murray, his actual details with the same date of birth, linking, connects to 2 companies, including 77 Sports Management Limited. Now, that 77 is also going to have a reference. I'm not very good with the numerology, but that I think is going to be very important in relation to the Freemasons. 77 is also the year I was born, and it's the year that the Albert Pike letter appears to have been removed from public view at the British Museum Library. Remember, that sat out the 3 World War deception, linking in with the Vatican. So he links to this company that was incorporated in 2015, and its registered address is Queen Victoria Street, London, which is used throughout the fraud. It links immediately to the fraud by third-party formations on its incorporation document, and only Murray's name is on that document. Brian Neil Granger connects that company to 28 companies, including Michael Parkinson Enterprises Limited, Daredevils Limited, Devil, that dissolved in July 2019, days before Jeffrey Epstein's arrest, and critically also to the Invicta Film Partnership number 17 LLP, with Invicta Film Partnership companies making major connections throughout the fraud to the intelligence agencies and to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom. So Murray is linked to the Satanic Temple. Research of Murray's mother connects that Judith Mary Murray was born on the 8th of September 1959 and is a Scottish tennis coach. She is the mother, as we know, of professional tennis player Jamie and Sir Andy Murray. She was born on the 8th of September 1959 in Bridge of Allen, Stirlingshire, and is the daughter of Alison Shirley and Roy Erskine, an optician and former footballer who had played for Stirling Albion in the 1950s. Now, the football companies are massively part of this, and I'm finding that people who've been married to footballers are generally, that are high profile in some way, are going to be linking in with this international government fraud. If there's any connection to football, the football industry is a huge part of this. And that's because it gives the ability to launder money through those football clubs and hide it under the footballers' wages. Okay, and it also ties in with the police a lot. Okay, because you generally have a lot of police policing those events, and the evidence that I've got in relation to the Hillsborough disaster, I'm almost certain that the Hillsborough disaster was either deliberate or they laundered money through the investigation. They've set up criminal companies around it. I actually think it was deliberate. And when did that happen? 1989, the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN. And they didn't actually release evidence in relation to the inquiry until 2012. After, it seems, I think it was September 2012, after they failed to achieve what they wanted, it seems, regarding the collider on the 4th of July 2012. It was only then they started releasing evidence about the Hillsborough investigation to a large extent. There's loads of evidence about that in my document. Anyway, a company sound search for Judy Murray reveals the Judy Murray Foundation, but all information has been removed from it. So it brings up the company, but literally no information there to be able to look at. I have never seen a record like that previously. Never. On hundreds of thousands of companies I've looked at, and they have literally, so this means companies house that's controlled by the government have panicked and they've literally wiped or stopped all information from that company because they knew I'd be able to find out loads of evidence through that company. However, a search for Judith Mary Murray within Companies House separately reveals 3 exact duplicate records for her. So they've created 3 records when it should be under 1 record with exactly the same details, same date of birth and everything. This is the government deliberately doing this, everyone. 3 exact records for her, with 1 connecting to Murray Play Foundation, where she was appointed in 2018 after the Pizzagate scandal had become exposed. Donald Trump had become the president and Gordon Bowden was exposing the non-verification element of the Companies House records. It has Brody's LLP of an address in Edinburgh as its registered address, making connections back to the fraud and MacLeod and McClellan, and MacLeod being the surname of Donald Trump's mother. So remember, we came across Brody's coming in the other areas of the research regarding the Dunblane massacre. It's no coincidence, everybody. Malcolm George Wallace Robertson, connects Murray Play Foundation, this company we're looking at, to 10 companies, including the Scottish Council for Development and Industry, where they were appointed in December 2011, 2 months after Jimmy Savile's death, and they resigned in February 2019 on the lead up to the COVID deception. The company was incorporated in 1946. The attached documents suggest the register was forged and it has a W&J Burness WS displayed with Burness companies featuring throughout the fraud. Joanna Susan Bogue Thompson connects this company to 14 companies, including various Shepherd and Weburban companies that connect back to the research of the St. Columba's prophecy that I told you about earlier, and the Isle of Iona off the coast of Scotland being the end of the world. Remember, same time I acquired the information of missing nuclear weapons when I found out about that. This also then links into monks, okay, moving back to Iona last year. And again, this is thanks to somebody else that gave me this information. And again, I thought they were compromised at certain points. I now do have to consider in all of this that a lot of people are having to seem as though they're compromised because they have to protect themselves in all of this. So a load of monks from Oxford University moved suddenly to Iona in 2024 as I was continuing all this exposure. And a monks organisation is found on page 40 of the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that connects to all areas of the fraud. Oh, who am I supposed to block? Sorry, I've just had a message crop up. Who needs to be blocked? So just someone put who needs. Oh, it's that. Is it Sandra that needs to be blocked? No. We already blocked that person. You can't block people. You shouldn't be able to. I've got no. What's going on here? Sorry, I haven't been reading the comments. Olivia, she's being hateful. Okay, Olivia. Sorry, Olivia. I'm just going by what other people are telling me. So forgive me if you're innocent in this, but I need to crack on with the evidence. How do I block? Oh, you've hide user on this channel. Sorry, Olivia. Wait. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. She was bastard. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. So people can actually block other people even if I don't want them to. Well, that's a bit. How do we know there's not compromised people blocking people that are genuine? That's okay. I wasn't aware of that. Sorry. Okay, so where were we? Gilbert Baird Archer connects the Scottish Council of Development, the company we're looking at, to 10 others, including St Columba's Hospice Care. So we now have a link to St Columba's coming from Andy Murray's mum. Okay, back into St Columba's. Remember the St Columba's prophecy. Oh, you can block them for yourselves. So okay. I see. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, so you can't block them from everyone else. It's just for you. You can block them. Right, I see. Sorry, I'm not very good at all this social media stuff. So we have a connection to St Columba's Care, where they were appointed in the important year of 1992, and that links to the research of Iona. 1992 being the year that the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Archer also connects to Eastgate Theatre, Peebles Limited, that was incorporated on the 1st of March 1996, 12 days before the Dunblane shooting. Now, theatre companies are very important in all of this, for whatever reason. Some of you may have seen recently I identified, by chance, the Duke of Edinburgh Theatre coming in from one of the mass murders, I think. And that obviously links to Prince Andrew. And then you have the company there called which linked directly to that, of the Beavers Film Limited, that was incorporated in the same year that the apparent infiltration of the royal family occurred. Anyway, we have this theatre company that was incorporated in 1992. Archer also connects to... it was incorporated in 1996, 12 days before the Dunblane shooting. It appears to have a incorporation document with Peeble District Council offices on it. There you go. Here's evidence that the councils are involved in this straight away. You've got a forged incorporation document with a council name on it. And that's just one. It's all the way through the document. And Archer is shown on that document as being a deputy lieutenant. In other words, in the army, I would presume, on page 38. Page 39 shows him linking to various companies, including Todds of Orkney Limited, appearing to relate to another Scottish island area, Scottish Council of Independent Schools, the Association of British Chambers of Commerce, and the Scottish Council Development and Industry, the same company that Judy Murray, Andy Murray's, has been confirmed as being connected to. So we now have a confirmed connection to Andy Murray's mum, to the military, to the council, to a criminal organisation. And remember, we had the connection to the council coming back in from the head teacher and the former headmistress at the time of the Dunblane massacre. Okay? All linking in with the Satanic Temple United Kingdom company, which links into the crimes against children, the blood of the children, tortured children, and a doomsday cult, which appears to be an ultimate agenda to end all of creation. Linking in with Julian Assange as well into that. Page 45 of the same document shows a Donald Gilmore Sutherland connected to Murray Smaller Markets Trust PLC, making a possible connection back to the Murray family. And we're going to come to that a bit later. Gordon, because I actually come across that company later. Gordon Lindsay Kevin Murray is shown in the people record for this theatre company and connects to 15 companies, including the Royal Scottish National Orchestra Society Limited and Murray Snell LLP, that was incorporated in 2008 and dissolved in September 2024. Gordon Murray and Philippa Mary Ordish MacLeod are shown on the incorporation document for this company. And the filing history shows that MacLeod resigned on the 17th of October 2022 as I escalated my inquiries at Exbourne Manor, and the same month as an interfaith meeting involving Pietro Parolin that links in with the prophecy of the popes. So suddenly this surname of MacLeod on this company comes away from the company, tries to remove themselves from the connection to Andrew Murray's mum. Okay, that is very likely because they don't want the connection to Donald Trump being identified via his mother. John Brian Leggett connects Murray Snell LLP to 8 companies, including Queen Margaret University, that was incorporated in 1909. So before World War One, this is I'm 100% sure that the 2 world wars were a deception as part of this international government fraud. Now, the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. It was never what they told us it was. It was all a deception. They were funneling and involved in the control of both sides. A lot of it might not have even happened. I've found so much evidence now in relation to that. You've even got the, just an example, so the Normandy Memorial, which is obviously Normandy is a big part of the war, links to Ghislaine Maxwell, a Normandy company. Very, very quickly, I can't remember the actual name of it. I think it's Normandy Memorial Trust or something like that. And it's when you come in from that you hit the science and technology company that was incorporated when I was born, the year I was born, and it dissolved on the month I reported the company South Fraud in December 2022 for the first time. And from there, it links to the Christchurch earthquake appeal. So that's from Ghislaine Maxwell back in with the Christchurch earthquake. And that all ties in with the collider technology side of things. Leggett, this same person called Leggett, surname, also connects to the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers. If we remember, we've just been talking about Donald Trump. You know what's coming. Okay, so bearing in mind how we're literally right here by Murray's mum now. Okay, we've already got the link via Murray to the Satanic Temple. All right, I've already linked Kash Patel, who Donald Trump brought in as the head of the FBI last year. Okay, linked to the Satanic Temple. Leggett also connects to the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers Management Limited. That Thomas Walker connects to various JP Morgan companies, and via DW Company Services, it links to Donald Trump's golf course. Literally his name attached to that golf course, coming in from the mother of Andy Murray. What more evidence do you need? This is just, he is 100% part of the crimes against humanity. And if we do not rise up and do something about this now, you can see what's going on. Okay, him and the centralized control around the world now, all right, and what they're setting up. You've got the Venezuela thing going on here. We have to act now in order. This is why you need to start. You don't need to be scared. Okay, as soon as people start making citizens' arrests and publicising that, I believe this will all end in the right way. So we have Leggett connects to Donald Trump. Leggett also connects to... I only wrote this the other day. I keep forgetting it. It's just mind-blowing. Leggett also connects to Turk & Connell Trustees Limited, that makes critical connections to the research of David Icke Exbourne Manor, the Satanic Temple United Kingdom Company, and important name changes around Walt Disney, the first Walt Disney Resort in America in 1955, which ties in with the infiltration of the royal family, and the dates around Princess Diana's death. Referring back to the Eastgate Theatre, so we're so close to everything. You know, I'm not going miles away. There's over 5 million registered companies. We're there. All, you know, it's all here in one area. Various directors connect to this theatre company. This is just mind blowing. Listen to this. Unbelievable. All within 2 companies, all right, or 2 or 3 companies. Various directors connect to Turning Point companies, including Turning Point Scotland Services Limited, that was incorporated in 2004 and has young solicitors on page 7 of its incorporation document. A solicitor I had rarely, if at all, seen. Turning Point companies are critical in this because they link to the research of Charles Kirk, who was supposedly assassinated. He wasn't assassinated. To Candace Owens, to George Farmer, and to Brandon Tatum, who was a former police officer in my research, and therefore the link to the police. All here, right there, by Andrew Murray's mum, linking to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom, and Donald Trump. It's overwhelming, everybody. Right? Turning Point was, you had Turning Point USA that was founded by Charles Kirk. There's also another company called Charles Kirk Limited that was started with the same 2 companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, a criminal company, okay? And Turning Point is also linked into the research of Candace Owens, who's saying a lot of the right things, isn't she? 100% she's part of the deception. It's obvious, okay? She's linked to George, she's married to George Farmer. George Farmer or his dad, I can't remember which one, founded the UK version of Turning Point. When you go into Turning Point, the UK version, you have loads of NHS links companies. Well, Deborah Fleming, who initiated my removal from Exbourne Manor, was a member of the NHS. She was the CEO for Hampshire, Isle of Wight and Dorset. There's lots of arguing going on. Yeah, he's almost certainly didn't die, Charles Kirk. I suspect they needed him out. He wanted out. He realised, okay, what this is going to do is expose the link to Christianity in all of this, because Christianity has 100% been infiltrated by pure evil. 100% pure evil. We know it's not Christianity because Christianity says, "Love thy neighbour, thou shalt not kill." If we did those 2 things, could you imagine how amazing the world would be? Be amazing. Be an incredible world, wouldn't it? Treat everyone how you want to be treated. Clearly, they're not doing that. So we know that they infiltrate Christianity. So numerous fostering children's services companies, related companies, are connected from the directors of Turning Point Scotland Services Limited, linking in the crimes of children, against children. An unusual name of Vinay Kant. Now, I suspect they put things in here and I'm just not realising it. Vinay Kant. Ruparella Connect Services Limited, 10 companies, including Papa John's Carlisle, in brackets, Limited, that connects to the Paedophile Information Exchange and the World Trade Center disaster research by companies made simple on its incorporation document. If you're not aware, Papa John's is the name of a pizza chain. I don't need to tell you any more about that, do I? You can sort of see where I'm going that if you're aware of the Pizzagate scandal. Richard Leslie Goddard connects Papa John Carl's Limited to 7 companies, including Marble Solutions Limited. And I had previously seen information that Marble can relate to the illegal drug trade. A separate search for Young's Solicitors. Remember, Young Solicitors was on the incorporation document of one of the companies we just looked at. Mentioned previously shows that Young Solicitors Limited was incorporated in 2005 and connects immediately to the fraud and the research of Gordon Bowden by 788, 790 Finchley Road and A1 Company Services and Temple Secretaries. There again, Temple Secretaries is a big one in all of this. The word temple again on its incorporation document. Gordon Bowden is the person that came out in around 2018, certainly in 2018, he was doing it, saying about the non-verification element of the Companies House fraud. And he found that through, I believe, through assisting a lady called Michelle Young. Now, I've spoken to Michelle Young personally. Okay, she was directed into me via a lady called Juliette Lewin, who was on the Isle of Wight, living on the Isle of Wight. And I had several conversations with Michelle Young, and I happened to see a video. It's not coincidence, everybody. Let's face it. There is some sort of intervention with what I'm doing here, and I believe it's divine. There's too many things to suggest it is not from a creator source. And I happened to see the video of Gordon Bowden sat in 2018 talking about this, what he'd uncovered. Michelle Young was sat next to him. Well, I'd had various conversations with Michelle Young. She never told me she was with Gordon Bowden. It was only on a phone call I said to her, "Were you sat next to him?" She turned around and sounded a little bit flustered, and said, "Yeah, Gary, he was murdered. He was poisoned. They killed him." And she then proceeded to try and make me feel as though my life was in danger. So she started talking about the intelligence agencies, Mossad, linking into this international government fraud. And that meeting that Gordon Bowden was at, it was a conference, and that conference had been set up by Sasha Stone. And Sasha Stone, I have information, links to the black nobility families of the Vatican and to the blood of the tortured children. The researcher Michelle, and I'm sorry, Michelle, you're probably going to watch this, and maybe you're good in all of this. I don't know, but the connection to your husband cannot be ignored. Michelle's husband, supposedly, if you type in Scott Young death, you'll see a very recent article. The last one I saw was from October last year, and he supposedly died by falling from a balcony in London. Now, this article suggests that him and around 13 people are now being linked to deaths, murders by the Russian government. I suspect this is a deception. I suspect this is a collaborative effort, and they need to try and blame it on another government because the exposure now is so big. Well, I've got overwhelming evidence proving, in fact, that they're all working collaboratively in relation to this. But Michelle Young was involved in a court case with her and her husband over millions of pounds in 2000, I think it was 2013. And I can't remember what year he died. Anyway, his father was a football player for Dundee Football Club. And when you go in and you research Dundee Football Club, it links into absolutely everything I'm talking about again. So we have this link now back in with Michelle Young's husband, who was, it seems, they're claiming was murdered, linking into the Russian government. And now we have Young solicitors. There's also a Young's Foundation, or Young Foundation, which features in my document at key times in this fraud. There's also a Michelle Young. I'm not saying it's the same Michelle Young, but there's a Michelle Young that links into Bournemouth Police, where I was working in the research around the office that I was literally working in Bournemouth, connected to JP Morgan. So now we have Young solicitors here, which I hadn't seen much before. Referring back to the Eastgate Theatre Company, Catherine Mary Margaret Maxwell Start, is that right? Catherine Mary Margaret Maxwell Start, I've got here, connects to ITV Border Limited. So an ITV television company that was incorporated in 1960, and it dissolved in 2023 as I escalated the exposure of the fraud. So it's been around for 63 years. Suddenly it dissolves when I start exposing this, everyone. ITV companies make important connections throughout the fraud, including to the Israel attacks in 2023 and to the Lucy Letby case. If you're not aware of the Lucy Letby case, 2023, I believe, 2023 or 24, can't remember. She was accused of unaliving some babies at the Royal Chester Hospital. Unquestionably to do with this international government fraud. The investigation against her was instigated by two doctors that she worked with. I haven't got their names in front of me, but they go straight in to key areas of the fraud, straight from their names and their records. They link to Moderna very, very quickly, which was the company involved in the obviously the vaccines, and that particular Moderna connection, the company was I think it was started well before the actual COVID outbreak in the same year, but well before December. So that suggests they knew it was going to happen, the COVID outbreak. So we have these links here into these organisations now from this ITV company. Alistair Murray Moffat connects Eastgate Theatre Peebles Limited, we're still at the same company, to 6 companies, including the Great Tapestry of Scotland Limited, Abbotsford Trust, and Source Bioscience Scotland Limited, that was incorporated in 2000 and had a previous name of the Moffat Partnership Limited. It dissolved on the 30th of December 2025, literally a few days ago. Moffat clan connects to the research of the location where the Stone of Scone is apparently kept in Perth in Scotland. Now, I actually went to go and see the Stone of Scone when I had a Stone of Scone. Stone of Crone. Yeah, Stone of Crone. Or Stone of Destiny, it's also called. I actually wanted to go and see it in Perth, and when I got there, closed. This is the final intervention, everybody. All right, all of the things that have happened, there's no way it's all coincidence. And I would never normally look at an emblem on a gate. All right, so I was at the gate, thought I was going to go in and see the Stone of Destiny, and I couldn't get there. But I saw the emblem, and I thought, oh, it's got an unusual writing on it. I'll take a photograph of that on the gate. Researched it, and it links to the Moffat clan of Scotland that I've just told you about. That links into this. It's no coincidence. It's no coincidence, everyone. Donald Gilmore Sutherland connects Eastgate Theatre, same company, to various Murray companies, including Murray Global Return Trust PLC, that was incorporated in 1928. And one of its previous names was Murray Smaller Markets PLC, that was mentioned earlier on the incorporation document, linking straight to Andrew Murray's mum. It has a forged register. Raymond Peter Wally connects Eastgate Theatre, Peebles, Scotland, to Scottish Association of Citizens Advice Bureau, that was incorporated in 1984. Remember, I told you that Citizens Advice Bureaus have all been centralised to this criminal government network. What's the time? I was going to move on to the Paris shootings. 12:30. Let's have a look at your comments. Queen of Council House. If you've got any questions, pop them on there. Some of it's recycled from the other night. The connections are all the same connections are made all the way through, first of all. But the first bit, yeah, I'd said the other night. Way back at the beginning. Just, I think everyone just try not to worry about the trolls on there. Just ignore the comments. If they're obviously a troll, just ignore it and just look at the comments that aren't. Gary, watch for David Icke. David, speak the truth. Talk about the company's house fraud. That would be my advice to him. The truth has to come out now in all of this. It has to. Some high-level social workers go under other names. One I searched dissolved his company and popped up in a new sordid company. Yeah, they're using multiple alias names. So this digital ID they're going to bring, they won't be part of it. They'll be using multiple alias names, falsified names, changing their names, changing their identities whenever they want. That's what they've been doing for years. Yeah, so he fell from the balcony, supposedly in London. Scott Young. That's it. 2014 he died, yeah. And the court case was in the year before, 2013, involving Michelle Young. Thanks for that. Thanks for your comment, Christy Belly. Really appreciate that. Thank you. There are missed miners in the Vatican from the past. You know, Emmanuel's Orlandi was a deal like Arab do today. They want pure, and mostly are minors and young. Yeah. I mean, I keep praying that it's all that side of things is deception, but I hate to think, and I struggle to believe there's this much evil in the world. Remember, we've got all three of my families linking in with this, key parts of it. I grew up with them, and I certainly wasn't aware of. Now, I may have been drugged as a child, something may have happened to me as a child, but I don't remember anything specifically happening to me, and I don't remember seeing any major signs that they were connected to any crimes against children. Which is, which makes me think, well, then maybe a big part of this is some sort of deception to make us for me to uncover all of this. And I mean, it's overwhelming. The fraud is just 100% there, unless they're only letting me see this. But that means every single one of you are in on it, because I'm getting people saying that they are verifying the evidence. But does anyone follow Alex Collier here? I don't, sorry. Scott Young, Gordon Young was thought to be worth 400 million. Yeah, there was large amounts of money involved in it. Hopefully you've seen the article I found. There might be even a more recent one where they're now linking supposedly 13 deaths to him. Straight acting because they do with names. COVID was patented many, many years ago. Yeah, I actually don't think it is a virus at all. I actually, well, the evidence is suggesting it's to do with the technology in the cell towers. That's what my evidence is saying. And that the whole COVID thing is a deception to hide that. And, you've got all of these people talking out about the vaccines and the management of the COVID situation. All of them are point blank refusing to use the evidence that I've got, proving the vaccine companies are criminal, which means what they're doing must be a deception. Because that would be the most important evidence to them, to go to the government and say, why have you created a company that's a criminal company to create vaccines? It's the perfect ammunition against the government for the vaccines, but they're not doing it. So that tells us they've got to be part of the deception somehow. Need to take notes later. Yeah, well, this will go back on, hopefully if they don't take it down, it'll be on my YouTube channel, so you can go over it again. And you need the document. I'm going to be sending it. I know I keep saying this. I'm going to be sending it out soon. In my mind, and I was all day doing research again today, adding stuff into the document. What I'm trying to think is prioritizing me getting this evidence done as much as I can, and then putting it in there before I then send it to the government, and send it to some various other people I need to send it to. And then I send it out to all of you guys that want it. So, and then I can work out what my next strategy is going to be on how to resolve this, on what I'm going to do next. But I really want to just get as much evidence as I can into it. So again, please email me if you haven't already. Gary, the truth sets us free @gmail.com. Gary with one R, the truth sets us free @gmail.com, and I will get it out to you. Gary, you might not see your question if you don't highlight his username, by the way. But yes, that's what black cabs usually are. I wonder if he meant those, though, to be honest with you. I think he did. Black cabs. No, I didn't mean anything to do with black cabs. Sorry, I probably missed some of the questions here. Take a chill pill, catch your breath. Call it a day, Gary. To many trolls. I just skip by it, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'll remove one, but a company named Gate WY was raided in the USA, California, as an island named Serenity Cove, rescuing 450 children that were for sale. This is what we're told, okay? What you've got to remember or think about is, why aren't they exposing the government fraud that facilitates all of the crimes against children? So what it looks like they're doing is they're coming out with stories saying they're trying to resolve the crimes against the children to make you believe that you can trust them and that something's being done. I'm sorry to say, all of my evidence suggests they're not doing a thing. And in fact, what they're doing is full steam ahead and allowing a system, which will be digital, to allow this to continue forever. Well, until they fulfill their plan with whatever the collider is. Now, that collider, Future Circular Collider program, they're going to be ready to, supposedly, according to the research, if it's real, activate it in 2040, I think, or 2045. David Icke connects to Rudlow Manor. Okay, I'm not aware of that. You approve so much, you have solved nothing. Please pause. Listen to someone who has been to hell and back. This is the most important evidence for the world. It proves everything. It proves everything. It links everything together. I'm not trying to. This isn't about bigging me up, all right? I just need to sell the evidence to you because it is what will change this world forever. It really is, everybody. I was in the police for 18 years, all right? Why do you think I've got 40 police reports that they're not even responding to? Because they know. And unfortunately, like I keep saying, I'm now thinking every police officer is involved because I'm not seeing anything else to suggest otherwise. Every member of military. It looks as though I'm the only innocent one in all of this, for whatever reason, at the moment. Did you look into Dr. Peter McCann and Castle Craig Rehab Centre yet? No, I haven't. Just taking a screenshot. DWP gave Citizens Advice Bureau. Oh, that's a really good idea. Yes, I've just seen what people have been saying. So if you tag my name in it, I get a big white section. Okay, so I can identify a comment that might be a question for me. So that's a really good idea. Whoever mentioned, sorry, I'm not great with all of this. But yeah, if you put @Gary for Freedom in your comment, if you've got a question, it gives it a big white block I can pick out easily from the comments. So what I'll do is I'll just go to those, and that saves a lot of time. So yeah, so that's really good. So Truth Finders put DWP gave Citizens Advice Bureau £21 million with gagging clauses. I've been trying to find the gagging clauses, but they're hard to find. Do you have those, please? No, I don't, but I do. I can. I've done a whole load of research on DWP. Coming in from the research of DWP, and I can tell you 100% they're involved in it. I've literally secured screenshots specifically around DWP. Yeah, I'm just going to look for the white bits because then it's a lot quicker. There we go. Truth Finder again. If you don't stop the trolls, you run the risk of losing a lot of people, subscribers, by the way, as many might not want to participate in live stream chats if disruptive trolls. Yeah, that's a good point, I suppose. Yeah, okay, I'll keep an eye out. Thank you for your document and all the work, SM'd evidence you have put together. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comment. Really appreciate that. This next document will be, there's loads more evidence going out in this. And what I'm trying to do is tell you what the new subjects are so you can find them within the document again. Because it's not, the trouble is I'm not just adding it on the end. I'm having to try and incorporate it into whether it's chronologically or with the other areas of the document. I could probably do it a lot, or somebody else could do it a lot better than I am, but all I can do is my best. And, it's a searchable document, which means you can all then look. You can then find specific bits within the document that you want to. I don't want a modifier, because the trouble is, if I choose a modifier, I had problems with that before. So, what was Ike and Manor name again? Oh, that's to somebody else, I think, put that. That wasn't me. What do you think of David Icke, Gary? Well, hopefully I've clarified that a bit to see massively part of this deception. We can't trust a word he's saying because he's linked into the biggest deception against all of humanity, this international government fraud. And he links almost, is right there with the blood of the children and with the drugs and with the intelligence agencies. So we can't trust a word he's saying, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry. Someone said, "Hi Gary, I hope you're well. I haven't received the documents yet. I have emailed you." Yeah, that's because I'm still in the process of trying to update it. I haven't responded to emails from probably 3 weeks ago yet, because what I want to do. There's no point in me responding with just a message yet. As much as I'd love to, my time has to be get the document done to a point where I'm happy to then send it out to everyone, and I'll just send it out to everyone that's emailed me in one go, and put a little personal message if I can as well to each of you in there, as well as the sort of spiel that will go in with the document. Yes, I'm in a tent. Truthfinders put, I've done research on Citizens Advice Bureau too, and have some information I'll put on afterwards or tomorrow when I'm not tired. I think I have the gagging clauses on an article. Not sure. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Am I from Israel? No, but my family's name, my family name, and I don't think that's my. I think I was given a fake family name, to be honest with you. But the Waterman name stems from Jewish/German origin, which would explain a lot because my family link in with the Cray twins. They associated with the Cray twins, and they've got Jewish connections. And a lot of this links in with Jewish/German origin, the crimes and the fraud. You don't believe his interdimensional being theories? I can't. How can I believe anything he's saying if he's part of an international criminal network that's based on lies? You can't, can you? Because this system of government crime motivates everything else as being a lie. Okay, to steer an agenda, to create an event as a distraction or whatever. So no, I can't believe anything that someone says if they're part of this international government fraud until they come out with the truth of the fraud, which is the foundation of all of the problems around the world. Can you share the documents here on your channel? No, because they're hacking the public document file links. I tried doing that, and unfortunately, they wouldn't do it. So what they're doing is they're stopping me accessing the link. So then I don't know what's going on with my documents the other end. So they could be putting false documents. They could be stopping it altogether. I just can't access it. This is the sort of thing they're doing. They removed my WhatsApp. I can't even use WhatsApp anymore. I've never heard that ever happening. That shows you how critical my evidence is. My number, I can't even use WhatsApp. They blocked it. So I either have to get a new number or I just carry on as I am and use the other methods that I'm trying to get this document through to people. So I need to do it on a one-to-one share with everybody because that cuts out the middleman, and it ensures that people are getting it. Can you please send your email again? Yeah, my email is Gary with one R, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. Gary with one R, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. Gary, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. What's my blood type? I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest with you. It's part of YouTube terms and conditions that you should have a moderator, I think. Rightly so, too, with the trolls being rude, disruptive. Just time them out. Let's stop it. Citizens' advice are severely compromised. When I rang them one time, my info stumped them, and 2 hours on hold says it all. Wow. Lone Wolf, Dr. Sean Ross, not religious, but a man, H. Ross, a man on a mission, has the deepest explanation for all of this. Octagonal prison stick system. Waterman, the ferryman. I would be skeptical of anyone that's not talking about the company's house fraud. All right. If these people are that clever, they'll know about the company's house fraud. You're going to find very likely they're linked to the company's house fraud. I would not believe anything you're hearing unless they're tying it into the company's house fraud. I'm sorry to say. I'm really sorry to say that, but that is, they positioned so many different people to provide so many different deceptions and distractions away from the truth. Until we get the foundation of the truth out of the way, which is this company's house fraud, unfortunately, there's no other way around it. And I think this is why they brought in the World Marshal Authority, because they're really panicking. So they're thinking, right, if we tell everyone they're going to get £8,000 a month for 20 years, then maybe that'll placate everybody and we can move on, and we'll then keep, not them, but whoever they're working for will just keep control of the system and allow the international government fraud to continue. That's not going to happen. That can't happen. We have to have a transparent system now. How are you doing financially, Gary? Is there any way that we can help? No, I'm okay at the moment. I don't need any help at the moment. It looks as though they're going to try and steal my assets through a criminal court case involving my wife. They're trying to stop me talking to my wife, so they've just sent me another fake non-molestation order with no name at the bottom. All right, and then I'm getting emails from Fretton's solicitors and what's his name, Simon Immins, who's linked straight into the exact same criminal networks. So I'm not going to liaise with a criminal solicitor. So what they're doing is they're going to try and take all of my assets. Well, they're all going to be arrested if that happens at some point. It may not be for a while, but you can't comply with criminal solicitors. What my wife needs to do, and the only right thing for her to do, if she doesn't want to talk to me, is get a liaison, whether it's a family member or something else, or a solicitor that's not part of this, which unfortunately they all are, to actually speak with me about our divorce settlement and the property and how we're going to resolve it. As she's entitled to half of whatever she owns. Absolutely. I'm not going to try and withhold that whatsoever. But they're using a criminal organisation, and I won't have anything to do with a criminal organisation linked to the blood of the children. All right. And they're trying to stop me deliberately through a fake non-molestation order. So what they're going to try and do is steal everything from me, it seems. Now, at that point, I don't know what I'm going to potentially do, but someone's just asking me to block someone. I can't see who it is without going into the message again, though, Vanessa. In the USA, every time things heat up, they start talking about aliens from space. Yeah, I mean, it's massively been, if you research articles of disclosures in relation to, for example, official government sightings or whatever, they've massively increased, in fact, pretty much started since 2022 when I've exposed the fraud. So it's almost certain they're setting up a fake alien invasion at some point, which shows you how much they're panicking. This is where the drones fit into it. And I've actually come across a drone company today. I think it's in relation to the Southport stabbings. I've done loads of research on the Southport from July last year. Okay, I think it's Tommy I've got to block. I'm going to block him anyway because of what he's put. Oh, someone else is saying their WhatsApp was blocked. That's the first time I've ever heard of anyone happening to that. Why would Gary care about YouTube terms and conditions? What's the truth? The truth is we have a criminal financial system. That's 100% the truth, which deliberately allows the laundering of money in relation to all of the world's problems. That's the truth. Absolutely 100% the truth. Well, that means that's got to change. You can't have a criminal system being run by those that are supposedly fighting crime and looking after humanity, running the world's criminal network. That's the 100%. You can be certain of that. Everything else, it's difficult to work out for certain what's really going on. But it's fairly obvious that it's linking in with falsified prophecies somehow with the Vatican. And I've done that through finding, through all of the research, an irrefutable chain of evidence connecting to certain subjects. So the Vatican, the collider technology, the blood of the children, the cell tower technology, the threat, the abuse of children, Jeffrey Epstein. These key subjects, when you find that all of the evidence converges on them, you can then sort of consider, okay, well, how would the collider technology link in with the Vatican? Well, the collider technology appears to possibly be being used to create a black hole on Earth. Why would they want to create a black hole? Well, that would invert creation potentially and create a fake tribulation period on the Earth, linking in with what the Vatican supposedly believes in. Well, what would that do leading up to it? Well, that would create earthquakes and tsunamis leading up to that. Well, hold on, David Icke said that would happen. He's linked to the intelligence agencies. When did he say that would happen? 1991. That's a key year because all of these other things happened around 1991 and after it. Wow. Oh my, now it all ties in. Okay. So now we can tie the blood of the children into the falsified prophecies, the earthquakes, the tsunamis, the black hole, all tying into this international government fraud with international leaders all converging and linking to that evidence. What are they all doing here? Okay, they've all got an interest in the collider technology. Why? Could be the ultimate deception. Set up all of the right evidence for the right person to expose it at the right time as some sort of biblical event or whatever. I don't know. Or it's a divine intervention and they didn't expect that to happen. And just for whatever reason, I've managed to join all of the dots with all of the evidence at the right time to prevent whatever is going to be happening from happening. Now, there's so much evidence in relation to the collider technology, it's unreal. All right, tying in with it being used very, very sinisterly against all of humanity. Of course, the big question is, why would they even do that? Why would they even be that evil? Now, I struggle to believe that everybody involved in this is really that evil. But we can see the evil that they're involved in. If they're involved in the international drug trafficking trade and they're deliberately facilitating the abuse, torture and murder of children. Now, I haven't seen a baby unalived and I haven't seen an abuse of a child. However, I've spoken to lots of people that have been abused. So we know it's going on. I know that drugs exist because when I was in the police, I dealt with many people who almost overdosed. And in fact, I've been to deaths where people have overdosed. So if they're behind all of this, then we know that the evil is going to be real, don't we? So therefore, we have to then consider, well, if they're really involved in all of these things and potentially all the shootings and the terrorist incidents that are all linked together, what's the ultimate evil? What's the ultimate evil agenda? Well, there you come back to the collider technology, don't you? Which overwhelming evidence suggests it could be used to create a black hole on Earth as an inversion of creation itself, as a complete mockery and a separation from the Creator who gave us creation, who gave us life, who gave us an incredible place to live, and everything they've done is an inversion. We can see that throughout everything. Transgenderism, that movement, 100% to do with this international government fraud. The charities all set up to actually launder money to create the problems that those charities are there for. An inversion. Everything's been inverted. The word government, mind control, backwards. So if you follow that through and put all this together, well, there you go. You're talking about the ultimate inversion of all. And you go and look at CMS CERN. Type in CMS CERN. You'll see an article on the CERN website of a part of the Large Hadron Collider that is capable of creating a magnetic field 100,000 times more powerful than the Earth. Why have they even got that technology? Why would you even need something to create 100,000 times the magnetic field of the entire Earth? It's just madness. It's like they lost their mind. Well, and then I think, we come back to they're not thinking rationally, a lot of this, because you've got the international drug trade linking in with this, which they're deliberately doing. This is the police we're talking about. They're deliberately allowing international drugs, international crimes against children, international money laundering in relation to conflicts and terrorism. They've been set up specifically for it, to enforce it, to allow it, to facilitate it. Now, I don't think we're talking about a lot of people here who are not rational. They're not thinking clearly, and they're so separate from the creator for that reason, and separate from moral conscience, that they've inverted their own minds into an inversion from moral conscience. Well, the opposite of that is inverting yourself into evil, isn't it? If you remove moral conscience completely, then you become evil, because you're not implementing what you know to be right or wrong in your daily life and your actions. Someone's put, you must know your blood type. I am sure they know it, and it's important you find out. I don't know my blood type. I genuinely have no idea. Now, I can't go and get a blood test. I have no idea, I'm afraid. I don't know. What would it be on? I've got... it won't be on my passport, will it? I'm going to get rid of nasty nonsense, I think. You've had no problem with YouTube for no moderator. There you go. Ignore the trolls. Please just listen to the evidence. Question from Deborah. Deborah, yeah. Get someone to get up a post box for you to get a mail sent to you there. What? To send me mail? The trouble is, I don't compromise, do I? I can't, unfortunately, it's a horrible thing, but I can't trust anybody. I can't trust anybody because of how crucial my evidence is. I can't meet with anybody. I literally have to just do this alone at the moment and share. I generally trust people, but I can't actually compromise myself by trusting anyone at the moment because it compromises the evidence. It's that important. That's how I've got to think, unfortunately. Asalo, well done. Sorry what happened. If you highlight his username, he'll see your comment easier like this. Yeah. Thanks, Truthfinder. Can you tell me, please, what the prophecy is? Well, you've got David Icke came out and said the world will be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. Well, it says that within Scripture, doesn't it? That there will be a tribulation period upon Earth, okay, of earthquakes, tsunamis, weather changes, etc. So he's linked to the intelligence agencies. So that's the intelligence agencies telling us, and the intelligence agencies link into the collider technology and all of the world's problems. So that is them getting him to tell us what it appears as though they're setting up. That's what it appears. Now, you've also got the St. Columba's prophecy in all of this that links to, that prophecy relates to a beam of light suddenly appearing off the coast of Scotland near Iona and causing or being the end of the world. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean literally the end of the world as in all life on Earth. It could be the end of their world or the creation of a new beginning. Now, that is I'm being led to believe, and my evidence is supporting it, but it could be part of deception, is linking them with missing nuclear weapons. Now, this could mean they failed to achieve what they wanted with CERN as an attack against creation in 2012, ending it with timing it with the Mayan calendar ending, and that they've got a second backup plan involving nuclear weapons and tying that in with the Iona prophecy. Now, a lot of Christians have said to me, Gary, there's nothing you can do to stop it. There's going to be a nuclear holocaust across the planet, and that is God's will. Now, the Bible says the earth will be, the second coming will involve fire and brimstone, I believe. But I don't believe it means nuclear war. I don't believe it means CERN or anything like that. I believe we're going to have, certainly if I have my way in all of this, we will just have a new era of truth and transparency, which could be the apocalypse, could be the end of the world, their world. And there's been speculation and actually videos, but they may not be real. Donald Trump saying there won't be another Christmas this year. Now, that could mean there's just not going to be another fake Christmas, okay, because it looks like Christmas has always been a deception. Now, if one of the things I've had to consider is, are they using me as a saying that these prophecies are going to be a man-made prophetic event to hide a true creator tribulation period on earth, as an inversion against the creator, using me to say that it's them using this technology through this evidence that I've acquired. That's something I've had to think about in all of this. But then I come back to, well, look, I believe the creator is good. I don't believe the creator would bring about a judgment upon mankind where almost everybody has been deceived into sin through a system that actually removes them from moral conscience and therefore separates them from the creator. So I don't believe it's going and is meant to be actual catastrophe, apocalyptic apocalypse against mankind, as in a devastating event, because you can't. How can you judge someone if they haven't been rational in their actions? Now, that could be you've been irrational by speaking to someone you shouldn't do in a way that you shouldn't because you've had too much to drink. Well, they're behind the alcohol. They're behind the alcohol, and they're behind the health system that supposedly prevents you from having an alcohol issue. They're on both sides of the coin. So therefore, you thinking irrationally, doing something you wouldn't normally, should I be judging you when actually it's the system removing your moral conscience through you having too much to drink, deliberately through the system, that has actually made you speak to that person in the wrong way? Now, if you came out the next day and you said, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I spoke to that person like that. I'm so sorry. What can I do to put things right? And I'm going to make sure I won't do that again. Then that person can be forgiven. Generally, I would forgive for in that situation. I'd be like, great. Well, you've apologized. You've said the truth. You're now going to try and put things right. And this is on a smaller scale what these people now need to do. It's the only right thing. You can't, I believe, fairly judge anybody if the rationality has been removed deliberately, which makes them do whatever it is they've done wrong. Get someone to set up. Oh, you mentioned that. Sorry. Hello. Well done. Sorry that happened. If you highlight his username, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm missing loads of comments on here. I'm sure my eyes aren't very good either. Can you tell me, please, what prophecy? Hopefully, I've covered that. The royal family are all O negative. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thanks, Vanessa. Or whoever's put that. Sorry, not Vanessa. I'm trying not to read your conversation. Complicated. This is why I told Gary to get someone else to get one so small can be sent there. What's your opinion on John Wedger? 100% knows more than he's letting on. Now, again, I was thinking he definitely knows more than he's letting on. And I was thinking he's compromised. He's definitely compromised, but it could be he's trying to protect himself. If you type in John Wedger, the Knights Foundation, you'll see he's linked to an organisation called the Knights Foundation, according to that article. Well, that article links to a sex offender. And then when you research the Knights Foundation, it also links to the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry, and it links to Julian Assange and the Doomsday Cult. Now, when I first spoke to John Wedger, I started telling, because I spoke to him personally on the phone, I started telling him about what I was uncovering, and he suddenly started praying for me. He claims to be a Christian. He clearly knows more than he's letting on. I suspect he's going to be linked to the Knights Templar, because you've got the Knights Foundation linking him with Julian Assange and with the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry, which ties into the blood of the children. Now, I then sent him loads of my evidence, and he hasn't responded to any. I think I've had one comment out of loads and loads. I was just sending my evidence out to everyone on WhatsApp, and his company his name was connected to a company that dissolved on my birthday last year, 2025, as I was talking about him on a live stream that night on my birthday, his company dissolved. Is your mission to simply distract everyone? Why can't you enter into a discussion with someone who has already been there and back? Listen. Is your mission to simply distract? If you're talking to me, it's clearly not to distract, because I'm providing you the evidence of everything I'm talking about. I don't say anything unless I've got the evidence to support what I'm saying, and you're not going to have any better evidence. It's a trail of evidence through the government's own registration system. So for whatever reason, there is irrefutable, verifiable evidence of everything that I'm saying. So unless what you're saying links to the Company's House records, I have to take it all with a pinch of salt. All right, so many people are involved in this, and if they're not going to expose the Company's House fraud, then they simply can't be trusted. Can you please speak on the Iona prophecy again? Hi, Deborah. Hopefully I've covered that a little bit. A beam of light from the coast of Scotland by St. Columba made the prophecy in, I can't remember the year, it was something like 693. It was a long time ago anyway. And he was originally from Ireland, and he got exiled across from Ireland to Iona. And there's some, interestingly, some names tying into him. McKinnon is one of them, and I think it's McClellan, which links in with the McLeod link to Donald Trump. And the information around it suggests that these particular family members, but definitely McKinnon, I can't remember the other one, may be related to Columbus, but they may have been corrupted and not actually following a creator, because these were obviously religious groups and individuals and clans, etc. So it could be that it started right back then. You had an offshoot, and now Columbus prophesied not only the end of the world through a beam of light, he prophesied a apocalyptic change in the weather and certain events happening across the naturally across the earth through this prophetic event. Well, that's what we're seeing to happen. So it could be that these family members of his are trying to recreate his prophecies. The trouble is, however way you look at this, if you've got a group actually trying to bring about the false prophecies through a criminal network that goes against moral conscience, then what they've done is they've gone against the creator to bring about those prophecies. So they're not working on behalf of the creator, are they? Because the moral conscience was given to us by the creator. And if they've gone against that with a criminal network that allows, through crime, through the removal of moral conscience, allows the exploitation, victimization, and suffering of humanity, then you're not working on behalf of the creator, are you? Now, the other option is they believe they are the creator. Well, that again can't be the case. You can't have a human, I believe, that is the creator of everything. We know they're corrupted. We know they're corrupted by rationality. If they're linking with the drug trade and everything else, it just doesn't make sense. So then you come back to it's an inversion again. It's against the creator, and it's evil. It could be they feel as though they have to make these events happen to tie in with the scripture. But what if the scripture was manipulated by a sinister group? We have to consider that, because the scripture was done before the current generation. So this current generation trying to potentially bring about the religious falsified prophecies may believe that they have to make that happen. But if they may be being deceived by the people that actually wrote those as part of the deception. Alien invasion narrative is the last card they have. It's the Rockefeller playbook narrative. Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. I don't think there's anywhere else they're going to be able to go with it after that. And unfortunately, it's being blown out of the water now. Just within my document alone, it practically proves that's what they were going to try and do. So they haven't really got anywhere else to go with it. I'm really Irish, I don't know if you keep the same comment. In the USA, the bank, TD Bank, EAS, fined for laundering money for child sex traffickers. But there was not one arrest, just like you point out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That they are. I mean, it's almost certain that they're highlighting the sexual abuse because the evidence is so overwhelming that they're all involved in it. They've got to make it look as though they're trying to resolve it, but the evidence far outweighs with the fact that they are deliberately allowing it to continue. It's overwhelming. Otherwise, you just come out and say, look, we've had a system of non-verification in place that has been, unfortunately, inadvertently facilitating laundering of money in relation to crimes against children. But now we're going to put a transparent system in place so it can never happen again and full verification. Well, they're not doing that. So that tells you they want it to continue. None of them are doing that. I'm going to have to block you, Irish Lee. I'm sorry. You're just putting loads of things the same. Oh, wow, yeah. There's hardly any comments left. Sorry, Vanessa, that was probably... I couldn't go into your message to see who you were saying to block. Someone else suggests you get a post box set up for you because your Royal Mail are part of the corruption, I suspect. Just look at history of criminology in all societies. Irish, I highlighted your username and you never responded. Why? Please stop spamming. Yeah, I've got rid of them anyway. Irish, us email him, maybe better. Yeah, Irish, if you're still on here, please email me if you want to send me any information. Why are you repeating your question, Irish? Gary knows what he has exposed. He is not a distraction. He is sharing and reaching out. Thank you very much for your comment, Anna. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm providing evidence of everything. You've only got to look at the document. You don't have to trust me. Get the document, verify everything I'm saying. That's what I advise you to do. If there's any concerns about me, then please just go and do that. Nobody has come back and said they can't verify the evidence that I'm providing. Con in maritime law means to steer. We're definitely not government by land law. I'm rubbish at reading the comments. I do apologise. I'm trying my best. I'm so ready to live in the woods. It's hard, I can tell you. It's challenging. Let's put it that way. Especially this time of the year. It took me 23 years to realise how evil my ex is. I knew she had mental health problems when I started exposing evil. The real character came out. It's like they have sleepers waiting to activate. Yeah, it's I just can't fathom the amount of evil I'm uncovering, or the apparent evil, shall we say. It's just too bad to comprehend, really. Can you please look into Andrew Mehta, who used to work at CERN as a scientist? Yeah, I'll have a look. There's also I'll just screenshot that. I've still got loads of other stuff I'm still trying to research, but Gary, do you realise they all have bunkers for a reason? Well, that's what you're being led to believe. That's what you're being led to believe. I don't believe. Now, those that have got the bunkers may be being deceived, as like I've said to you earlier, as part of those at the head of this are setting up a fake natural apocalyptic event. They go into their bunkers, they get rid of the rest of us, but potentially we have to consider that, or the bunkers are going to be flooded and it's going to be some sort of judgment against those individuals that are this. I don't believe the creator will bring about the end of creation. Okay, I don't believe that. I believe that probably a lot of the natural disasters that we've seen have been manufactured by those behind our governments. There's so much evidence to suggest they have technology that can create earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. So much evidence now to support that. And of course, what does that do? That makes us think it's the creator and therefore separates us from the creator, doesn't it? How can there be a good creator if they're creating all of this destruction upon mankind? Same thing with cancer and health issues. I believe that it's been deliberately introduced by man. There is loads of evidence to suggest they deliberately introduced cancer as part of this criminal network. It's dark energy behind scenes, also light workers and so on happening. Yes, stay away from the labs, Gary. Are you familiar with Ciro Orsini? He's involved in huge trafficking. Yes, I am. And apparently now, he'll probably watch this, Sasha Stone. I have information sent to me that he associates with Ciro Orsini, who's a member of the Descent of the Black Nobility. Your blood type might be on your work record somewhere. I haven't got anything. I'm in a tent. I don't have hardly any documents. I understand, Lisa. It's crazy, the world, but it's not the world, though. It's people in it. Absolutely. The world is an incredible place, everybody. I am in wonder at nature every day. Even now, with all of this going on, I just respect it so much. I love it so much. I love the birds. I don't want to get cheesy here, but I won't kill a thing. I don't eat meat. I did in prison because they didn't give me vegetarian food option, but not a lot. I left most of the meat, but I love it. I love nature, and it's interesting. I was thinking about this today, actually. Funny enough, dog is obviously God backwards, and I've always loved dogs so much. I just love dogs so much, and that's been one of the hardest things for me is when they took Rosie from me. And it's interesting that in my life I've always been wary of people that don't like dogs, and the people in my life that don't like dogs are now massively tying into this international government fraud. And it could be that in their mind, because it's dog and therefore God backwards, because they're potentially linking in with the evil element in all of this, they have been conditioned to be avert to dogs, possibly because of the connection to God. Maybe dogs are a lot more important in this than we realize. Maybe dogs are a lot. Remember the pharaohs, how important the dogs were to the pharaohs. Why aren't I banning the spammer? To be honest with you, I just end up looking past a lot of them, but if I see one, I'll try and block them. It's to do with weather control, CERN. Well, yeah, but it also, I mean, the CERN actually was involved in the creation of the technology of the cell towers. A lot of people don't know that. So it's going to be linking in with the cell towers in a very significant way, I think. But there's also, so CERN is massively around magnetic technology, superconductor magnetic, or what do you call them? Superconductor magnets or something. If you type in CERN, CMS CERN, you'll see it tells you all about this. 100,000 times more magnetic field than the Earth. Now, in theory, that could affect the entire magnetic field of the Earth and cause the Earth, in theory, if everything they've told us about the Earth is true, and could cause the Earth to basically spin out of control, potentially, couldn't it? If the Earth's being held in position somehow by magnetic fields. I'm not a scientist by any means. But there's also a lot in relation to the, what's it called? The something field, torus field, which is almost a donut shape field in everything in nature. So when you look at an apple and an orange, for example, it obviously curves down into the middle, doesn't it? Well, when you look at the magnetic field of the Earth, that also dips down in the middle at the top of the North Pole and comes in and dips in and curves back into the center of the Earth from the South Pole. That is a huge element in all of this, the torus fields, and apparently humans have them as well, which is why we've got the crown on our head. Apparently, the curly bit of hair that goes in generally. some sort of centralization of magnetic field in all nature. There are mammalian humanoids and reptilian humanoids. Well, this is what we're being led to believe, reptiles. This is what David Icke says. This is also what other people have said, that then that's a deception, setting up a fake alien invasion. I've actually got quite a lot of evidence that shows that they deliberately put information about the reptilian connection after the fraud started to be exposed. And why would they do that? You had the V series came out in the 1980s, 1990s, wasn't it, with the lizards that ripped off their skin and they were controlling the world. Well, they then they brought that back out, and guess when they brought it out? 2 months or so after the Royal Foundation, the Prince and Princess of Wales, was incorporated. And 2 weeks prior to that, I became a director of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Tells me they were trying to implant that suggestion of lizards running the world again after the main company linking the international government fraud was set up. Now, that also is the time, remember, when they repealed Section 10, I believe it was, of the 2006 Fraud Act, which allowed the corporations, well, they thought it would allow and remove the accountability of the corporations being involved in the international government fraud. Well done, otherwise you'll lose lovely subscribers. That's not what you want. I'm glad I taught you how to time out and hide from channel. I knew how to do it, but previously I just don't generally do it because I just, I would try and do it. Block the spammer. Yes, I get it, but you do need to address. I've read there's a large portal at Iona and lots of people have gone missing there. Yeah, I can't discount the portal element in all this. There's portal connections through my research. De La Rue, who's the main currency producer for the world, actually purchased a company called Portals in a key year. I haven't got it in front of me, but they purchased a company called Portals. And they also put Justin Welby as the Archbishop of Canterbury, a Companies House record with his middle name of Portal. Also, Stargate Limited, Stargate was set up by Donald Trump which makes me think it's part of the deception, because Donald Trump brought the Stargate project up in the day after he became president, 2025, and saying they were going to pump $900 million, or might even be $1 billion actually, I think, into the Stargate project up to 2029. Well, Stargate refers to a portal, doesn't it? If you've seen the movie of a portal in the movie Stargate that actually came out on my birthday in 1994, I don't think there's any coincidence with that. That links to the Egyptian side of things. And Stargate, the actual first government project, came out on the year that I was born. And that was to do that particular Stargate project, which was President, what's the one that's just died? Jimmy Carter. Died 24, I think, or 25, supposedly. Probably not, but they said he did. He brought out the Stargate project in 1977, the year I was born, which was remote vision, which is where apparently they have the technology to see through people's eyes and to look at particular events and what have you when they're not actually there. Loads of other things happened in 1977 as well when I was born. The Apple logo first came out. First of all, it didn't have an apple. Originally, Apple came out in 1976. In 1977, for the first part of the year, it was just an apple without a bite out of it. The second part of the year, it had a bite out of it and the name Google inserted in it. Well, I was born in October 1977. When you research Apple, the company, it becomes important because its logo, the first logo in 1976, was Sir Isaac Newton sat under an apple tree. It was quite an intricate design compared to the Apple logo that we've seen recently in recent times. Well, that obviously implies a connection to gravity. Now, gravity links in with the collider technology and to the magnetic fields and everything else. And the Apple company, I've researched it, I can't remember, it obviously involved bringing Steve Jobs was involved in it. And there's some, I haven't got it in front of me, and I don't want to say something unless it's true, but it's within my document. There's some critical evidence around the Apple company that I've identified linking into all this. You can trust Dr. Noakes. Dr. Oakes. But I know there's loads of stuff I haven't covered in here. It's a shame I can't get someone to talk on here if they wanted to. Am I a Jew? No. I believe it. Well, I believe in a creator, but I can't name that creator because of the amount of deception and everything. But I 100% believe there's a creator. I 100% believe they're good. I believe I'm being guided by that creator, but I can't put a name to it because I don't trust those that have published all materials for the last through the control that they've had for a very long time, been involved in the education. I can't trust anything that I've ever seen. So how can I put a name to that creator? Why is everything such in a mess? Because that's what Satan wants. He is destroying Christ's kingdom just as he wants to, because nobody is able to stop him. Well, there's individuals deliberately trying to make that seem the case. I actually think the Church of Satan was infiltrated around the time of the Princess Diana's death, because you had the original founder of the Church of Satan died within 2 months of Princess Diana. They then re-established the Church of Satan in 1999, 2 years before the World Trade Center disaster. And that was the same year that Vladimir Putin, whose government's linked into this, became the I think it was the assistant prime minister or deputy prime minister or something of Russia. And in 1991, the same year that David Icke came out and said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis, you had the Russian coup. So that gave them the ability during that coup to infiltrate the Russian government as part of the agenda leading into the 2000s and everything else that happened since. And 1991, David Icke came out with that. The relativistic heavy ion collider started to be built in New York, which was first activated in 2000. When they were starting to build it in 1991, scientists said there's a chance that will create a black hole on Earth, everyone. They still went ahead and done it anyway, and it was activated for the first time in 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. So we have to consider that the World Trade Center disaster was them trialing or testing that technology to see if they could collapse those buildings. We have to, because there's overwhelming evidence connecting the World Trade Center disaster to the collider technology now. So the relativistic heavy ion collider is very important in all of this in New York. And the CERN one, the Large Hadron Collider, they started building that in 1999, and it was finished being built in 2008, and they activated it for the first time. Well, 2008 is a year after Madeleine McCann went missing, and when Company's Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, was incorporated on Company's House. 2008 is the year that I went to Paris to the Louvre Museum and managed to see the inverted pyramid that is shown in the Da Vinci Code movie that came out in 2006, which was the year that I transferred from Kent to Dorset, not knowing anyone at all. And the Da Vinci Code movie is about a deception within Christianity where the real blood of Christ is actually still here on earth. Now, interestingly, I've just researched Tom Hanks, who was in that movie, and there's critical evidence that I've got in relation to him that's going into the document. And linking him with Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy came out and said that Tom Hanks was involved in crimes against children. What else was going to say? The second movie, called Angels and Demons, came out the following year in 2009, after the Large Hadron Collider was activated for the first time. And that movie was about CERN. And it was also about the Vatican and how that links in with that. Hopefully you've seen the movie Angels and Demons. Well, 2009 is the same year that I became a director for Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, and within 2 weeks of that happening is when they created and incorporated the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that links all areas of the fraud together. The next movie that came out was called Inferno. That came out in 2016, which is the year that the Pizzagate scandal started to be exposed, and a ritual took place at CERN in August that year at the Shiva statue, which represents creation and destruction. It's also the same year that Elon Musk founded Neuralink, a microchip that can go in people's brains to control their bodies as part of potentially their plan of transhumanism moving forward. Donald Trump's, obviously, presidency an election campaign was in 2016, became the president, 45th president in 2017, 4 and 5 equals 5. He then became the president again last year, 47th president, 4 and 7 equals 11. That's 9/11, the date of the World Trade Center disaster. The World Trade Center was started to be built in 1966, which is when the year that the Church of Satan was being founded. It was finished being built in 1973, which is 2 years after the World Economic Forum started, and the same year they started using the SWIFT international transaction system, which is what they use this international government, how they do the international government fraud. That's also the same year that Charlton Heston was involved in the movie that came out called Soylent Green. And I saw the movie when I was younger, and that is about a lone innocent police officer in 2022 that uncovers a dystopian future involving world corporations potentially putting the remains of humans into the food chain. That's the exact same year that I started uncovering this international government fraud, and I was in the police. That movie was based loosely on a book that came out in 1966, the year of the foundation of the Church of Satan, and that book was based on the year 1999, which is the year of the re-establishment of the Church of Satan. Actually, the movie MGM was involved in that movie, and MGM links to Atlas, and Atlas is the company that was involved in the first intercontinental ballistic missile, and that links in Atlas to the CERN experiment that took in July 2012 when they discovered the God particle. It's just, there's so many things in this document now. It's just overwhelming. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's getting late. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to try and think out what to cover next. We've done Dunblane. I've got Southgate stabbings. I've done Moira Hindley, the Moors murderers. All refuse to be linking into this. I've found more evidence in relation to Klaus Schwab now and the World Economic Forum. I've now got more evidence on a former head of the Serious Fraud Office. I'd already got Lisa Osofsky, but thanks to somebody else sending me some evidence, the former head of Serious Fraud Office, who is Williams, I can't remember without looking, linked into this. I've done research now on the Paris shootings and terrorist events from 2015, which is proving very, very interesting. Again, it is, I'm almost certain that every major high-profile event is down to the same people behind this criminal system. And that will involve, unfortunately, the police, the intelligence agencies, the military, the governments, all against humanity. Now, a lot of it could be deception and not happening. May not be, maybe, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't witness these incidents happen. Interestingly, before I go, the Manchester Arena bombing 100% into this and ties almost immediately to the research of the Israel attacks on the 7th of October 2023. Richard D. Hall, came out and said that didn't even happen. Now, Richard D. Hall links straight into the research I've done. If it's actually him, a name of Richard David Hall goes straight to a golf club, and one of the directors of that golf club's J.P. Morgan. Now, if that is Richard D. Hall, that means he was positioned to say that that wasn't a real event. Now, that could be them telling us that the events they're doing aren't real, or trying to suggest that the events they're creating aren't real. The big one is, though, how could they have created, if it wasn't real, the World Trade Center disaster? If it wasn't real. I'm not saying it wasn't. All of the evidence is suggesting it really happened. Now, if it really happened and they're behind it all, then we've got a serious problem with evil. If it's all a deception and it didn't happen, then I think they're trying to bring about somebody, someone, or a group of people, or the creator, through the amount of evil and the evidence that's being exposed through the trail of evidence that's being exposed here. Anyway, massive subjects, loads of things to talk about. I'll try and think of what to do next, and I'll try and cover that. Just trying to think what else. I haven't got it. Oh no, I can tell you the other subjects, and then you can literally put in the comments what one you want me to talk about next, and whoever, if you put the most. I know there's going to be loads of comments I haven't answered. I do apologise. Have I got it? No, I can't. It's on my other device. Sorry. I was going to give you a list of the recent subjects that I've added, which is quite a lot to the document. I'm just putting them in now. Thank you so much for listening. I'm really sorry I haven't answered most of the questions, I'm sure, but it is getting late and I've got to be up fairly early tomorrow. I'm going to be doing loads more research. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Really, really appreciate it. Take good care of yourselves. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Just do the right thing. Thanks very much. Bye.